Hospital ports, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order, welcome to Panwo TV. You ask for it and how you're going to get it, a reportage. Now, it's a while since I've done one of these reportages because I've been ill, I've not been away much, and I've been away, I haven't really done any filming, like when I went to Birmingham UFO group, but now I'm going to do one because I know you guys like them. My throat's still a bit sore, but I should be able to manage. Now, I'm on Queen Street right now, Oxford, and I'm using my GoPro, which means I have a bit of trouble getting a good soundtrack if there's a lot of background noise, which is why I haven't filmed at all until I'm here on Queen Street, which is pedestrianised. So that's why I'm filming here now. It's maybe a bit of a problem. But it's something I noticed when I was in Hull, because I used the GoPro when I was at the Outer Limits magazine conference, if you remember. So now I'm heading for the station. I'm travelling by train. Not that there's background noise. There's the Westgate Centre. Do you remember that one? Oh boy, what's this? Oh, there's another one. Yeah, there goes. Do you remember the Westgate? Yeah, I'm going on the train, not the coast this time. Let me just show you where I'm going. And this is the event I'm going to see, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 2022 Lancashire Anomalous Phenomena Investigation Society Conference 2022. Yeah, possibly the 19th pseudo-annual. It's going to be in an address you'll be familiar with, YMCA St Anne's, St Albans Road, Liverpool St Anne's. It's a full weekend, 22nd, 23rd of October. This is the third time I've been to the LAPIS Conference. It's the second time I've took my camera. And it's, of course, reminiscent of Probe, isn't it? That location, that venue. So, what do we have? And what do we have in terms of speakers? Well, we have Dr. Anne Winsper, who's back again. We've 3 times we've seen her this year at Weird Weekend North, at ASAP, and now again at this. Now she's going to talk about Ghosts of Chester. Oh, cool. She talked about Estonia last time. Now it's Chester. Estonia to Chester in a single month. Who'd have thought it? Rob Whitehead on schoolyard UFO sightings. Well, there's a lot of those. We've been looking to those ourselves, haven't we? You know, the triangle. Malcolm Robinson on Loch Ness and its monster. It's a mystery. It's an old mystery, but it never gets boring. So I'll be looking forward to hearing about that from Malcolm, who I met briefly in Hull, although he didn't meet me, if you remember. John Hanson, someone I've not seen for a while. Police officer UFO cases. All right. Well, I'll be interested to hear his talk, although the man himself I will say more about later. Malcolm Robinson is back on Sunday morning, first speaker. He's got the hangover slot, but I'm sure most people will be there. The A70 UFO incident, a very interesting abduction case in Scotland. And we've got a double act here, Richard Freeman and Jackie Tonks, who I both know and love. They're great. And they're talking about Jeff the Talking Mongoose. I missed my chance to go to the Isle of Man, unfortunately, to go to the house where it happened or what's left of it. But Jeff the Talking Mongoose is there's a very, very interesting case of a strange creature on the Isle of Man. Now, Steve Jones on Tales from Haunted Bathrooms. Now, when Steve gets behind the mic, you can't get him off. Haunted bathrooms, goodness me. I'll never go to the toilet again in peace. And then finally, well, I've just seen him, Dave Hodrian, on the Best Bufog UFO Investigations. I spoke at his conference just a couple of weeks ago. That's really, really good. So, my goodness, this is really going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Be great to see everyone again, and I do hope you'll accompany me. Well, here I am on Oxford Station again, as you see. I'm travelling by train and not the coach, which is unusual for me, I know, but it's got to the point where I don't have any choice. Now, I may have made this point before in previous videos, but I will reiterate it now. National Express have completely messed up. They've rerouted all their routes. They completely rerouted everything, which means if you want to get the route, the coach I used to get that left about 7 in the morning and got to Blackpool in 2:30, doesn't exist anymore. You get the coach to Blackpool, you've got to leave either 5 p.m. and get there at 2 in the morning, or like late morning and get there like 7 p.m. or something like that. That's no good if you're going to a conference in St Anne's. I need to get there earlier so I can meet people and socialise. Things like that. So I've had to get the train. So I mean, I don't like travelling by train as much as I do travelling by coach. I can't relax on a train the way I can on a coach. I mean, I suppose the good thing is it gets me there a lot quicker. It takes about 4.5 hours instead of 7.5, so that's something. But still, I'd rather go by coach if possible, but National Express have messed up. What's more, the other services, Megabus is just as bad. Megabus doesn't even call it Preston. It doesn't even call it Preston now. You've got to go to Manchester. I mean, I did consider going to Manchester on the coach and then getting a train. So getting a train from Manchester to St Anne's, which means basically going to Preston, changing at Preston. But the only coach I could get would get me to Manchester about 3:35 or something, which means I'd have to travel through the rush hour on the train from Manchester. It's not on. There's no way I can do that. But so it's train only. Now, if you always book your tickets in advance, I booked mine a week in advance. I should have done it even sooner. £105, which is not bad. I was talking about there's a guy, there's a new YouTuber I'm following, Steve Marsh, a Scottish guy who does travel vlogs, and he managed to get a first class ticket for £101 from Edinburgh to London. Not bad, one way. This is a return, so that's actually pretty good value. If I bought an off-peak return today, over there in the ticket office, £166. Can you believe that? It would have cost me £166. Oh dear. Which is basically ridiculously expensive. What's sad is the coach used to be like £45, less than half the price that I paid as it is. Oh, anyway, I'm gonna get on the train. I've got a seat booked. I hope I don't get one of these dickheads who sort of goes, oh, I'm not, you know, you get on the train and you get one of these twats who sort of like makes a fuss about you. They're already sitting in the seat and they make a fuss about you saying, could you get up please, this is my seat. I've heard people say, no, I'm not moving. I've heard people sit there and go, oh, I'm not moving. And the person has to go and find this conductor to go and sort it out. Finding the conductor means you've got to walk all over the train to find them, so hopefully I won't have that problem, but at least it gets me there quicker. That's something. I should get to St Anne's by 2:30. Okay. Coventry, I made it to Coventry. It's rather smallest, brutalist station here in the West Midlands. It was usually quite strict. It's typical kind of stressful.
And London Euston. This train is formed of 10 coaches.
Where was I? Yeah, the usual stressful stuff. The train was absolutely packed. I found my seat. There's a guy sitting next to me. It was all right. He was sitting in the other seat, but someone else got on later, and he was sitting in their seat. And I said, excuse me, it's the usual thing, I have to have this seat, I booked this seat. Luckily the guy did get up, there wasn't any trouble. He just got up and said, okay. And he had, I don't know if you noticed, I tried to film it actually. He had a little dog with him. When I got there, he had this black dog sitting on the seat next to him.
Message. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
Okay. So And I tried to film him. I don't know if you saw that there. I couldn't really talk in the cabin because there was too many people there. But it was quite, you know, I like dogs, so it's not a problem. But you get the usual people coming along saying, "Oh, can I sit here? Could you move that? There's no leg room. You've got your suitcase on the damn floor." That happened to the seat behind me. That happened with somebody. So at least I've got to Coventry. There's not long to wait now, just about 10 minutes, and I'm getting my train to Preston. So that's platform 3, which is down here. And my Dreaming Saucers t-shirt, of course. I got a phone call actually from Tom. He goes to Probe and stuff like that, and I didn't even know he was an unstored number. I didn't even know he had my number. But he's already contacted me to arrange to meet her when we arrive, so that's good. On the way between Coventry and Preston right now. Made it to Preston station. It's always a good feeling when I get to Preston because I'm really nearly only there now. It's just one more leg of the journey, which is a small train up to St Anne's on Sea. So I've just got to wait for that now, which is about, I think it's about a quarter of an hour. I can get in that. But the train up from Preston was slightly delayed, which actually helped. Less time to wait here. But as I've said before many times, this is a very charming station. It's got this old Victorian architecture. These are cast iron struts and things like that. There's not many stations like that nowadays. They all get remade into horrible things like Coventry, which is not my favourite station. So I'm glad they kept it the way it is even in 2022. It still hasn't changed. And we go along here, there's the Red Rose of Lancashire there, see. This is all Victorian. So now, pretty soon, usually on this platform, this is the platform I'm going to now to catch the train to St Anne's. That's when I normally start seeing people I know. If you remember the last trip to Probe, I saw Colin Woolford on that platform. Colin's not going to be able to come this time actually. He's actually going to see a rock concert in Manchester instead. But I'll probably see somebody I know on this platform. I'm waiting for this train. I'm on the final train now between Preston and St Anne's on Sea. It's a complicated situation because there's two stations in Blackpool North and Blackpool South. The trains that go to Blackpool North never call anywhere except Holborn-le-Fylde, which means you have to get the Blackpool South one, even though it's like a single track, and the Blackpool North trains go on the same track. So if ever you're going to Pro or to Lapis, make sure you get on the right train. I think I'm here. There it is. Here we are. Oh, made it. St Anne's on Sea. Yeah, I must say, it's, you know, being a lover of tradition and nostalgia, I think it's really nice that they still have these old trains, these old yellow fronted trains. Because the on the other line going to Blackpool North, they've actually got new trains. They've still got those old trains, which is lovely. Okay, here we are. Welcome back, guys. Well, welcome back to me. When was the last time I went here? Probably you people in the old viewers probably have a better memory of this than me, but it was the new probe. Do you remember the new probe? Now that was, I think, earlier in the year. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was in the spring sometime. But this is it, and there's all these various. There's the townhouse there, one of our traditional pubs. A taxi rank. And in a minute we're going to see Coral Castle, that's what they call it. And the autumn leaves are out. You know, I've only ever once. Yeah, the only time I came to St Anne's in season, I think it was like back in May or whatever. Was it May? Whenever the new probe was, you see. We call this area Coral Castle because it has these stone monoliths everywhere. You see them more from this side. See, there's a... Oh, I can't see very well. Here's a view here, see. You'll see more in a minute. There we are, see? These stones in there. This is what we all call this Coral Castle. Yeah, there's the Illuminati pyramid up there. You can see through the trees. So these Illuminati pyramids. And oh, they've taken the spike off some of the street lamps. They've still got the spike on that one. But they've taken the spikes off the others. Oh, that's interesting new design here on the main street here in St Anne's. Little St Anne's is kind of like it's a conurbation because it used to be. And there's 3 stations, there's Lytham, there's Anston and Fairhaven, St Anne's on the Sea. This is St Anne's on the Sea, but it's like a conurbation and has become Lytham St Anne's. Crossover. Here's the bridge with the houses on. It's like, she's having a bridge with houses on there. There's one in Florence which has houses on, it's quite rare. I hope my GoPro's working alright. It worked alright in Hull. The good thing about the GoPro is it has its disadvantages, but it's very, very hardy, it's very sturdy. I don't have to worry about it getting wet. The Sony camcorder you've got to like keep dry. GoPros you can get as wet as you like. In fact, there's a video on YouTube of a GoPro strapped to the outside of a submarine, and this submarine dives under the water and it comes up again. Down there's the trawl boat. I think there are some guys meeting in the trawl boat at 2:30. Hopefully I'll join them before I head off to the carvery. I've got to have my carvery, haven't I, on a Friday evening. It's traditional. I couldn't come to St Anne's and not have my carvery. If I can get past here to go through, yep. Number 15 is up here. Apparently everyone's meeting in number 15 later on, and Janet has reserved the vault. So you can't go again. Going to number 15 is nice to go into the vault because it used to be a bank, so we go to the vault. In a minute we'll see the pier and everything, but I'm going to nip into the hotel first. My hotel is the Travelodge, which is just down here on the left. But I wonder. I mean, I've not been back to the Monarch. Here's number 15. I've not been back to the Monarch since it changed hands because I think I explained to you before. Leslie has sold it. It's under new management, so I don't know what it's like since it's got under new management. So, but maybe I'll give it a try one year. You know, give it a try and see how it goes. Oh, it's lovely coming back here. This is one of my favourite places in the world, and it's always a good feeling when I return. This is all sort of familiar. These sort of whalebone shaped things, and there's like the penny farthing bike statue, metal things, and there's the seafood restaurant down here. Chinese place over that Cantonese restaurant. We actually ate in that one. We ate in there one Sunday evening. I remember we were with Gemma. Okay, it's nearly there now. I have to text a few people letting them know I've arrived. I did actually, along with that, the LAPIS crew, you know, the usual people. There's like Tom from Manchester. There's a couple more local people I've asked to come along if they want to visit, you know, if they're going to come too. Remains to be seen if they turn up, but I did text Juliet Gregson and Julie Phelps, who live not far from here. They don't live in the town, but they live in this region and possibly could make it. And there's the Victorian Pier there in the distance. I don't even bloody zoom in on the GoPro. I'm not going to shoot in the edges. Yeah. No, I don't know how you zoom in on these things. But anyway, the hotel's just around the corner. I want to go in, get set up, put my luggage away, and then the others. This is what I meant by the penny farthings. These things. Again, that's unique to Lytham St Anne's, as far as I know. Yeah, we've got the crossroads, the big crossroads. Over here is the. We used to be, what's it called now? The Lord Derby. Used to be the Admiral. That triangular Illuminati-shaped pub over there. That's where, in the early days of Pro, Matthew Deleuze used to hold court. I remember. Before he turned into a complete and total twat. Alright, just up here's the hotel, guys, so I'm gonna get checked in and then I'll see you later. And here we have piles of sand by the wall. That can mean only one thing, and that's that uniquely coloured brickwork there. It means we're at the seafront. Yeah. There's no musician outside the Paris places now because, of course, it's not season now, but it has a real charm actually out of season, St Anne's. I don't know how much you can hear me because there's a bit of wind now. But the weather forecast was really bad. But I'll tell you what, right now it's not that bad at all. At the moment, it's actually quite nice. So I'm going to take a little stroll along here and show you some of the sights. The Costa Rica spheres here. You've got that, haven't you? And finally, the beach, and the tide is out. Goes out a long way. Goes up a very, very long way, all the way along there. Very lovely. There's a lifeboat station in the distance there, you can see. And these little walls here. If Miles was here, he'd be going, follow me, we're going to do some sky watching on the beach. I think it's Miles wouldn't be seen dead at a LAPIS conference. That's the only problem. There's the lifeboat memorial there. The inn on the prom is along here, which is where a lot of the speakers were put up for Probe. But they had music and things like that because we came in more sort of seasonal visit last time. Across the estuary there is Southport. It's lovely. And here we are. This is the view out of my hotel window. This is the Travelodge Lytham St Anne's. I'm on the third floor. I'm on the top floor this time, and I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side of the building, and you can see these roofs here. These lovely, actually. These lovely roofs. And if there's a fire, it's not a very long drop onto the roof below. That's one good thing. Anyway, it's time for the traditional room tour. Well, you've got the cherry picture, as always. Again, the bloody cherry picture. Yeah, it's typical that, isn't it? So it's not a very big room. It's like the one I had in Hull. Room, you see, it's the usual decor around, the usual colours, the usual bed sheets and things like that. Psycho shower, red tile, warning signs so you don't get sued. I mean, I don't need to do that. Disposable. Oh my god, sanitary bags. I feel an Alan Partridge sketch coming on. Sanitary bags? They leave me one of these every day. They know I'm a man. Anyway, guys, that is the hotel. This is where it is in the hotel, so I know where I am. That's why I'm going to. If there's a fire, hopefully there won't be. But yeah, these rooms are all pretty much the same, aren't they? The only reason I do these room tours is because you, the viewers, like them. I'm going to go to Salters Wharf soon and hopefully meet up with Julie and Juliet. I'm having a much needed paned au day first, and I'll see you guys later. Yep, that'll keep me going for a while. And that, yeah, I'm in the Salters Wharf. Yeah, it's kind of a tradition. Friday night I've got to come here. I'm just waiting for some friends to join me. So that'll fill me up in the meantime. Oh, what a lovely evening. It's not far off sunset now. It's gone 5 PM. Lytham St Anne's is lovely in the evening, it really is. I've just had a wonderful meal. I had the honeycomb sundae, that was nice. So I'm feeling well and truly stuffed now, and I won't need to eat anything probably until Monday, but that might change. I've texted all my friends, they all know I'm here. I've been to see some friends in one of the other pubs. And now I'm just taking a little evening stroll along the promenade, past the old lifeboat station and Boating Lake. I might actually have a little lie down in my hotel room after eating all that. I'm looking forward very much to this conference, but there is going to be some awkward elements to it, and I'm not sure exactly how to deal with them. I think I'll have to play it by ear. But see, there's a lot of really good people going to this, people I really like. It's starting to rain a bit. Oh, there's some rain coming in. Look at that rain coming in over there. Yeah, I think that's quite heavy rain coming. Might go in let's go in here for a minute because it's raining. There's some crying as well. Is there a plane? There's a plane going over. Right. Not watching me, of course. There could be a bit of an awkward situation with some of the people going, and it's like, as with ASAP, there are people who don't like me and turn against me, but as Winston Churchill said, if you've made enemies good, it means you stood for something in your life. So maybe I should just be pleased about that. But of all the list of speakers going, most of them I either don't know or people I really like, Dave Hodrian, Jackie Tonks, Richard Freeman. They're good people. But of course, Malcolm Robinson's going to be there now. Malcolm actually he didn't know it at the time, but he actually spoke to me and held the door open for me in Hull at the Outer Limits magazine conference. Of course, he thought it was old David, the old guy with the sticks and the sun hat, but he didn't realise it was me. But he looked straight at me, he didn't recognise me. Of course he's going to recognise me this time. The thing about it is, I don't want to say too much because it's something that he and I we dealt with privately. But he basically blocked me and turned against me. He basically blocked me, wanted nothing more to do with me. And it is to do with the Larry Warren situation. I'll say that much. To do with the Larry Warren conflict and his loyalties within it. However, I don't want to go into details about our interaction because it was something we dealt with privately, and I want to give him an opportunity to maybe make up with me. If he wants to come in, if he wants to make up with me, I mean, I don't have a big problem with him, to be honest. So if he wants to make up with me, I'm willing to make up with him. John Hanson is another matter. Now, I think I'm perfectly at liberty to say exactly what my problem with John Hanson is because he said so openly himself. John Hanson was the organiser of the Colonel Holden Rendlesham Forest Conference in 2015 that caused a huge amount of controversy. As you know from the videos, I made the video, but I made my video reportage, but I also made some videos about it because someone tried to get that video shut down, get my channel shut down. John was initially sympathetic to me. In his book, he states that it was a misunderstanding, and it's something that he should have been more clear about the arrangements. The problem is, after he wrote his book, the Haunted Skies, I forgot which Haunted Skies book it was, he then falls under the spell of the anti-Larry Warren cult, and he starts saying things like, Benham Jones, that thing, he called me a thing. He completely dehumanised me. Now, I'm telling you this because he said it publicly. He said it publicly on social media. thing, Ben. See, dehumanising me to the point I'm not even alive on a thing. And then he accuses me of stealing money off him. And again, this is something he said publicly. Not only just contradicts everything he wrote in his book about the situation, but it's false. And I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I've said this before. I've said this before in other videos and my interviews with Tino, but it's false. I never stole a penny from him. So that's going to be a bit. That's, I think, Malcolm. You know, I'm not bothered about Malcolm's all right. I think really. Obviously, Malcolm's very close to Alison Dunlop, which I think is why. Which is where this whole situation came from. If he wants to make up with him, I'm happy to make up with him. John Hanson, I think, needs to retract what he said about me publicly, and he needs to apologise. I'm not going to interact with him anyway until he does that. So it could be a bit, when he's there, it could be a bit awkward. Obviously, like if we're, you know, I don't know if he's staying over Sunday night, so he'll be at the Speaker's Hotel. I don't know if he'll be at the dinner on Sunday. I don't know. There's a big dinner on Sunday as well. I don't know if he's going to be there. But I'm not going to be nasty to him. I'm not going to start a row with him in front of everyone. But I'm not going to speak to him. I'll just ignore him. And like I said at ASAP, if Tristan Smale turns up, I'll just stay out of his way. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow, whenever it is. That's what I'm going to do. If he tries to speak to me, I'll say, John, I didn't steal any money off you. You have to say so. You have to say this publicly. I didn't steal any money off you. I'm not a thing, I'm a human being. Oh dear. What is it about the anti-Larry Warren cult that is so seductive? It's not exactly the dark side of the force, is it? It's run by some really very unimpressive people, transparently dissembling their real reasons and their real motivations, and frankly very superficial, pretentious, angry, bitter, and unpleasant, and rude, unpleasant. What's so incredibly influential about these people? I don't get it. No. Anyway, that's what I've got to say about that. Well, welcome to St Anne's at night. It's now nearly 9 PM. I'm heading to number 15 to see my friends. I've had a long sleep. Actually, I slept for 2 hours. I must have needed it. Whenever I eat a lot, I mean, I think it's the same for a lot of people. When you have a lot to eat, it tends to make you drowsy. It made me drowsy. So hopefully Janet will be there. Apparently she's reserved the vault for us with all those naughty pictures on the wall, and it's secluded, very tight atmosphere sitting around the table, so it should be fun. This is what the pre-conference kind of get together. It'll be a laugh, it'll be good. Hey guys, so I will see you later.
Then your tides government bonds, don't they?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the vault. You'll recognise some of these people from Weird Weekend North, and I'm back with the same crowd. We're in this vault. Now this pub used to be a bank. If Juliet Gregson turns up, she can talk about that because she knows all about that sort of thing. But it's been turned into a pub, and this is the vault where they kept all the money. Done up for Halloween, as you can see, and look at the pictures on the wall. I hope my video doesn't get deleted just for showing you these pictures. They're a bit racy, aren't they? Yeah. Yes. Do you think this was used as a brothel or something? It might have been. Yeah. I'll have to get some. I'll scan these pictures, I think. But it was.
I remember an AI blocker. I remember someone before is, will it?
They might have had like big.
Shop
Yeah. They have big pink cushions everywhere and things like that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. There's a lot of.
It seems to be that sort of place, got that sort of atmosphere, isn't it? Well, I'm by the door, so I've got the best seat. So if I want to go to the toilet, I don't have to shove everyone else out of the way or crawl under the table. But it's great to be back here, I must say. I've got it on camera. I filmed her. You're immortalised as the under the table lady now, Janet. All right, well, it's almost midnight. I've just left the number 15. Janet did indeed hire the vault, so we were in there, as you just saw, and had a lovely time talking to the guys. Now, Malcolm Robinson was there, and as I predicted, you know, he sort of leaned over and held his hand out, and I shook it, and I said, Malcolm, are you speaking to me now? And he said, yes. He said, yeah, sure. And I said, put it behind us then. I said, yeah. And I had a chat with him briefly about how he saw me in Hull and everything. So it's actually quite a relief. It's a relief that I've made up with him. And as I said, I think it's not really a major situation with Malcolm. As I said, I don't want to go into details because it was something we dealt with privately, but it is connected to the whole Harry Warren thing. And the whole reason he blocked me originally was because of that. It's quite nice to put that behind me, actually, because I don't think Malcolm is a bad guy. I think he's all right. I think he's a cool guy. It's auto exposure. So getting used to this bloody. I'm still getting used to the. I'm still getting used to the whole thing with GoPro. And he was like, I think Malcolm's a decent guy. And so. It's good that that's out of the way now. I don't dislike Malcolm. I was sad when he blocked me, and I told him so. I thought there was no need for it. It was just uncalled for. But we had a brief private email exchange, and I've not spoken to him since. And it's nice to see him again, speak to him again. With John Hanson, of course, it's a different matter, as I explained earlier. With John Hanson, it's more serious. He owes me an apology. He needs to start, if he wants to make up with me, and I doubt if he does, he needs to, I think because he made public statements about me, which you may have seen, that I stole money from him, he called me a thing. He needs to apologise. He needs to put out a public retraction of those statements. Because when someone's saying they're stealing money from you, well, he said I borrowed money off him and never paid it back, and he says, which is a form of theft. Let's face it, it is. Pardon me. He needs to apologise for that, put out a retraction. But he wasn't there anyway, so what the hell. But with him, it had been another matter. So tomorrow, conference begins tomorrow. Now because there's new rules and regulations, the YMCA has a shot at 4, and it's caused a bit of a mess. So probably breaks are going to be shorter. There's going to be a more tighter schedule. It's not Janet's fault. It's not the fault of the organisers. It's the YMCA. It's their regulations. But so we're starting a little bit earlier tomorrow. I'm going to be there. Well, I might go for breakfast at the Wetherspoons, and then it starts 8:30. I think it starts serving breakfast 8:30, which is a good enough time, which gives me a nice long time to sleep. Some of them are still in there drinking. I mean, I think it's close to chucking out time. Actually, it's nearly chucking out time at the number 15. But it's a bit amazing. Where am I going? I've always thought I like to get plenty of sleep. I think it's to do with the shift work of hospital portering, but I've always been a big sleeper. So that's what we're doing now. Here we are at the Travel Lodge. I think it's time for bed. Well, it's a lovely morning. It's Saturday. The sun is shining. So much for the lousy weather forecast, and the rooftops of Lytham St Anne's are glowing. And I just got up, and I just woke up, and in a few minutes I'm going to go to the Wetherspoons to see if I can get breakfast. And I'm watching TV. More about Liz Truss being kicked out after 45 days. And it's some of you may be wondering if I'm going to do a live stream about this, about the new Prime Minister. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do any video or live stream about the new Prime Minister, who's going to replace Liz Truss and stuff like that. And the reason is I just couldn't give a damn. It really is irrelevant. because the people lined up to replace her, Penny Mordaunt, Rishi Sunak, are pretty much cut from the same cloth. They are globalists, aligned traitors. Whichever one wins makes no difference at all. Just as why I didn't cover the last new Prime Minister, because I thought Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, Coke or Pepsi, simple as that. That's how important it is. The only exception would be because Boris Johnson may well run again to come back. He's actually hinted he's going to do that. If he does, then the one thing that could make this more interesting, this political situation more interesting, or two things could make it more interesting. One is if Kemi Badenoch runs again, or actually succeeds. The second is if Boris comes back and he's a changed man. He is the British Trump. I already talked about that. And he's learned his lessons from his stupidity over his last premiership, and he goes back and he apologises for everything he did over COVID, and he said I was wrong to do all that, and all the other things he did when he went downhill, and he's going to reverse the support for the Zelensky regime in Ukraine, things like. If he really becomes Britain's Trump again, that would make it interesting. But I think it's unlikely, to be honest. It's a really long shot, but unless that happens, don't expect to hear me say anything about it. St Albans Road. I'm sure most viewers will recognise this site. This is the road I walk on leading up to the venue at the YMCA Centre. It's a beautiful day. It's actually quite mild. It's not very cold, and the sun is shining. It's that early morning feel that this road gets, which I'm quite familiar with. I'm getting there slightly early. The conference is going to start slightly early as well, because I explained last night. And I've had a good breakfast at these spoons. I went to the tour boat. And I'm heading for the venue. So I didn't mention, I slept brilliantly last night. I had some amazing dreams, very sort of vivid dreams, nice ones, not nightmares. And what I did before I went to bed was I tried to copy the files from this camera to my laptop, and I couldn't. I kept plugging it in, it kept saying USB connected on the camera, nothing appeared on the computer at all. It's annoying when that happens. That does happen sometimes with some devices, and it may be because this camera's a bit old. It's a good 4 years old now, so that could be why. But still, I have a second. I do have a second memory chip, and there's only about half an hour left on this memory chip. I'll do some actual recording on the laptop itself for reviews of the speakers, because I tend to ramble on with things like that. But this, I do have a second memory chip. Each of the chips is about an hour's recording. I managed to find a way to reduce the resolution on the file in the GoPro. Which, if I don't do that, then I won't. The files will be too big for my editing software. As it is, I might even have to upload them to YouTube and then as private videos and download them, just to reduce the file size even more. Here is the famous crossroads. We're at the crossroads. We're at a fork in the road, as David Icke said. These are the days of decision. There won't be much talk of David Icke at this event, though. This is Lapis, not Probe. I must remember that. Now, it's a strange kind of like similarity stroke contradiction. You have like you have a conference which is in the same venue, organised largely by the same people, well, at least partly by the same people, and the attendees, the delegates, 50% plus, also go to Probe. So, but the sort of the format of the conference is also exactly the same. 4 speakers per day, a lot of the same background, a lot of the same crew work behind the scenes. You know, Janet, I've already mentioned Janet. She's a true heroine when it comes to things like this. You get like the actual theme of the conference is totally different from Probe. Now, Probe, how do I put this? I mean, probably viewers put this. Probe is like full woo. You know, we have mediums, people who channel animals from other dimensions. We have flat earthers, people like that. Lapis is 14. It's like it's more scientific. It has a more scientific attitude. There are some skeptics who speak, like we had at the last one. There was what's her name? Hayley Stevens. There are some full skeptics who actually speak at this conference. All the others kind of like have a scientific attitude. I myself spoke at the ASAP Seriously Suspicious conference, which is very similar to Lapis, and never spoken here at this conference though. But that's kind of you know, this, you won't find anyone speaking here who sort of like talks about you know, golden swords. Hello, how are you? Talking about golden swords above Ilkley Moor. See, which is what Nigel Mortimer did. Hello, how are you, Tino? Are you alright? Yeah, it's Tino, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Thought so. Yeah, I'm making a Panmo TV video. Do you want to be on it?
Yeah, go on then, yeah.
This is Tino.
Hello.
Not to be confused with Tino Megaro, another Tino.
Yeah,
but,
Tino too.
You'd take the second one, yeah.
Yeah, just got off the bus now.
Well, where are you staying? Anywhere near?
Yeah, in Blackpool, because it's expensive over here. The last time I was here, I tried to get up something really expensive.
It is, yeah.
Well, this is the third conference in 1 month, this.
Oh, well, nice one, mate. Yeah, nice one.
Last week was the Awakening.
That looked good. I couldn't get to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, massive turnout. Yeah.
Actually.
2 weeks before that, there was a small one. A smaller version of the one that was in Preston last year.
Oh,
that
right.
Was at Ardenshire again, not on my doorstep.
Nice.
So the first two were okay, just a short bus ride away.
Oh, lovely.
This one's another overnight stay again. But
Oh, right, you are, you mate. Yeah, the same here.
there'll be few and far between because of the expense. Anyway.
Are you here for the whole weekend?
Yes. Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
me too, yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you get on with you.
Okay, buddy, yeah. That's Tino there. We're just approaching the venue. See you later, mate. Take it easy. We're approaching the venue now. And these automatic doors still work. There you see Lapis Paranormal. There you go. Come on in. Automatic. Oh, it's not. They're not automatic now. But there you go. There you go. So here we are at the venue. They're probably not open yet, but they, you know, we're getting. Well, we'll go in there anyway and see what's happening. There we are. They may not be open yet. Yeah, here we are. £49 for the weekend, single day £27. They're not open yet. I don't think they are. I think you'll be allowed to sit down somewhere. Here we are. And here we are, ladies and gents. Oh, there's a few people in here. There's a few people in here. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. How are you? Penny, how you doing? Hello, how are you? You too, how are you?
I'm fine, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I put my phone on. I put my phone on.
This here is the venue. Yeah, I'm sitting there behind it. I don't know if you can see John Hanson behind me there. He's here. He's ignored me. I've ignored him. And there's the haunted supply stall there. You see. I'm not going to cause any trouble, and I hope he'll agree to do the same. Okay, well, we've had the first speaker, Dr. Anne Winsper, who did a very interesting talk about ghosts of Chester. I'll go into more details about that later on. I think I'll do it on my laptop. Hey, how's it going?
You're doing off good around.
I know. I love these. I love events like this.
Last time I saw you in Hull.
That's right. Where was that? What? Oh, at Our Limits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I looked at it.
In the big shopping centre thing.
Oh yes, RawCon.
Yeah, yeah.
That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just in time before the lockdown.
I know, and then there's nothing.
Yeah, I know. It was great to be back here. Yeah, seeing a bit. And so it's like a kind of a weird. That's a guy I met at RawCon. If you remember RawCon, that was a great conference. That was. So I'm going to go into more details about the talk later, but she's a very interesting speaker. Knows a lot about the paranormal and things like that, and she also she only talks about the ghost of Chester, but she knows so much about other things like EVP and things, which I'm really interested in, and maybe I'll get a chance to talk to her about that because that's very, very interesting indeed. But how you doing, guys? You having fun? Do you want to be on Hapanmo TV? Do you want to be on Hapanmo TV? All right. This is the second best line. We've been just doing approached by a very camera shy lady who gave us this. How do you view the future? Get worse. This is interesting. And there's some things from the Bible, right? Okay. We'll have a read things like that. But to be honest, I'm not really a Bible kind of person. But, I'll have a read of that later. But we're having a little break now before the next speaker. But I found that very interesting indeed. That was all very interesting indeed.
You and I could happily eat it. It was just.
This is Nigel Mortimer. He's back.
Hello.
Hey, we've
back
not
from
seen
the dead.
Yeah. Well, not from the dead, but we've not seen this. You've been off the scene for a long time, mate, haven't you? Yeah.
I have but it's great to see you all again.
I know, mate. We've missed you.
With Helen, my wife.
We've missed you a lot.
We're back. Well, thank you. That's really kind.
What are you doing these days?
Well, we've been involved ever since you didn't see us, a couple of years back. We've been investigating and been doing a lot of work into the Ultimore alien photograph.
Oh, that, yes.
And hopefully in the next few months I'm going to be writing quite a lot about that.
Yeah. I've heard rumours that Alan Godfrey took it.
No, it's not Alan Godfrey. It's somebody from Ilkley.
Yeah. I didn't think, Alan's been involved in 2 UFO events, but I didn't think he'd be involved in a 3rd one. But
I can promise you it's Alan Godfrey.
Yeah, I didn't think, because Alan would say so if it was him.
Yeah, of course he would. But
it's a very interesting photo. This guy.
But it's a good photograph. But I'm not going to say whether it's hoax or not at this point.
Enough, mate,
At this point.
We'll have to wait for the book, won't we?
Yeah, well, it's an old book. It's just going to be info online that everybody can access and have a look at that. Yeah.
It's great to see you and Helen again.
Yeah, thank you. Ben. Take care, mate.
Yeah, Nigel's an old friend from the early days of Pro. It's good to see him back again. Take it easy. If I get a shot of John's stall while there's no one around. Well, I'm just this is at the moment, but you can be on if you want. Rendlesham Forest and Woodlands guys. Yeah, we'll go there later. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, I'm here to the Haunted Sky series. Now, despite my personal differences with John, they are good books, I must say. Sky Crash. Jenny Randall's now has changed her mind a lot on that book. There's all this kind of stuff there. Interesting. We've had our lunch break, which is actually quite short. I just had time to go out and get a coffee. And we have Robert Whitehead talking about schoolyard and close encounters, which is very interesting. I'll tell you more later. And now we've got Malcolm Robinson coming up. He's going to, I don't know what he's going to talk about, but he's always very interesting now. I think he's going to talk about the A70 abduction, which is a UFO case, so looking forward to seeing that. I made a slight mistake actually. Malcolm talked about Loch Ness, he didn't talk about A70's tomorrow. He's on a double bill, but I'll show you some of the stalls. There's an interesting story behind that. Steve got that for Richard. And we have here lovely day-glow orange posters there, which are pretty good. That's a nice image there. Right. How you doing? Interesting talk that today, thank you. Hi. This is a video of Jenny Randall's. I've got that actually already because it was sent. I actually bought it online, but that's probably Jenny Randall's last public talk because she's kind of retired now. She's pretty old.
Pretty much the last time ago I signed a copy of the book as well.
Yeah, that's and there's a nice T-shirt there Rob's wearing. It's pretty good. Got to get one of them.
I've got to do myself.
And I've.
Tenner? Sorry, tenner?
Oh, yeah. Now, if you you may not agree with everything Jenny Randall says, I certainly don't. But she's still a classic individual within this. I'm classic.
She's very much research based, isn't she? You can't evidence based as well.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the school was brilliant. I mean, that was very interesting because I heard about the cases now, and really astonished at these amazing instruments where the kids still stand by their story today and they're adults, you know.
That's what interests me.
They're grown up.
Just, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, they're still saying exactly the same thing as they did when they were 10.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It stays with you. It's up here.
Yeah. Viewers will know that I've done a review of the film, the aerial phenomenon, Randall Nicholson's film. Very, very good, that, isn't it? I really thought it was
I
great.
haven't seen it all yet.
That's worth
Just
seeing.
bits of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's
really-
not available to buy yet.
Well, it's
only rental at the minute.
it was it's quite expensive, but it is going to be released onto general.
I was hoping it was going to be
sites.
released in time for here.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be around. It'll be around.
Well, there's that one, Moment of Contact. That looks quite good as well.
I've seen that. It's very good.
Any good?
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, brilliant. I'll see you later. Here we are. More DVDs and books.
But we couldn't get anywhere around here. We're all booked up. So.
Game, fabric game. Oh, look, a UFO. Oh, I like this. The UFO with the ship, the old ship. British Ghost.
Just needs switching a bit more though, doesn't it? To make it look a little bit older.
That's pretty good, though, isn't it? Yeah. Look at these images here. How much time? I'll see in a bit. These here's the bookstores here. I think I've seen most of these books. The whole perspective. Oh, yes, Colonel Holt's new book.
Signed.
Oh, that's cool. That's a classic. That is. Some really old ones there. Look, Dan Brown, of course. And Pearl Harbor. That's David Ray Griffin's book. There's more down here. Oh, they've got loads of Unexplained magazine. They've got loads of old copies of Unexplained. I used to read that when I was a kid.
I collected it as a kid, that's why I'm getting them back now.
I must have had an interest at a young age because I don't remember much of my childhood, but I remember things. Yeah. Look at this cemetery here. Look, it's pretty good.
While I wasn't looking.
I'll be back. That's Boris Johnson there, you see. This is Penny's stall here. I'm just going to show you. You know Penny? Hey Penny. This is Penny's stall. You'll all be familiar with all the DVDs and things she sells. This here is the Lamar Zodiac. Kate Preston. I remember them. Something for my souvenirs. And Richard here. Is this your new book?
This is my latest one. I've written another one since then, but it's not been published.
Oh, cool. Oh, you're such a prolific writer, yeah. In Search of Real Monsters, £10.
Volume 2 of the 2-volume set, Adventures in Crypto.
Oh, excellent. Brilliant. Are you here all weekend?
I am here all weekend.
Oh,
Talking
right.
about Jeff the Talking Mongoose tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, yeah. I'm looking forward to that, mate, yeah. So check that out, Richard's books. I read your one about dragons, that was very good.
Oh, the first one I ever wrote.
Yeah, that was really good. And you just come back from, where have you? Sumatra,
My
yeah.
sixth expedition to Sumatra. In search of the orangutan deck, related to the orangutan, I believe. Totally unknown to science.
Oh, right, so we look forward to finding out more about that. That'll be good.
Yes, I'll be talking about that at Weird Weekend North in April.
Oh, that's the next Weird Weekend North. Got close to that, yeah.
But in this book, In Search of Real Monsters, it tells you all about my expeditions in search of the Tasmanian wolf, which was that creature on the front, the orangutan, the Mongolian deathworm, the yeti, giant anaconda, the almasty, the Russian wild man, and many, many more.
That's quite something, yeah. There's a huge story behind all these. It's very, very interesting. Thanks, Richard. Thanks very much. And this stall here is... Oh, this is Malcolm Robinson's stall here. This is the A7 UFO incident. That's a very interesting UFO. Since I picked some of these up from Outer Limits magazine, if you remember. Sorry? I think you can take these, yeah. Take these ones here. It says please take one, so I think I'm familiar with it. That's his new. I've got a couple of Malcolm's books already, and I think I'll leave the last. Well, I've already done the last stall, haven't I?
Go on the blues.
So look at this board here. These are these brilliant photos of previous conferences. Alien stole my Christmas tree. That's Rob, I think, doing his talk. Look at this. This is from December 3rd, 2021. And you can pause and read this. It's about Alan Godfrey and his encounter. There's the police car. That's when he was out in areas at the time. Got abducted in I think it was 1979. And here, that's Janet. And this is an article about Janet and what she does. There you go.
Okay, so blue again.
These down.
167. Blue 167.
Oh look, they've got to show you the X Factor. This, I remember this well. The X Factor from the 90s. Spirit photography, stuff like that. Perfect stuff. It really is. Right, it says I've got 52 seconds left of footage in this chip. I've just ended, day one is over. I'm now heading back to the hotel for a bit. I might do some commentary. I've got to change the film chip in this particular camera, which is something of a surgical operation, I find. I can never do it by hand. It's the GoPro's got to like poke and prod to get the chip out and change it. I've got a second camera chip, luckily, so that'll be the next thing I have to do. But yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day. We're all going to I think most people have a bit of a rest, and then we're going to go later to the townhouse. Apparently they're meeting there, so that'll be quite fun. We're going to eat there for a change. I've got some vouchers for Witherspoon, so I might pop in there just for a drink. So off I go. Yeah. Well, I'm in the trawl boat, ladies and gentlemen, the Witherspoon's pub, and I'm here with Jared, Mark and Mike, all here for the LAPIS Conference. How you doing, guys?
Cheers.
Enjoying yourselves?
Cheers.
Yeah, was that a nice dinner? Oh, cool. What are you looking forward to most about this weekend coming?
Just like the old times, hopefully. Yeah.
The people you meet is.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I think it's the speakers are kind of an excuse for us to get together, aren't they? Well, I'll see you guys later. Thanks very much for being on the show. Well, hello everyone. Hello. Yes, it is actually. It's 5:45. Day one of LAPIS 2022 is over, and I'm back here in my hotel room with a wonderful cherry picture over my right shoulder and everything else over my left shoulder. And I'm here to talk about today's speakers. Well, the first one was Dr. Anne Winsper, and she was very interesting. She's always interesting, actually, because I'd like to have a longer talk with her, maybe about EVP, electronic voice phenomena. I know she's a very harsh critic of Don Phillips, who I've always liked. Steve Mera and Don Phillips' work on that was very interesting, but of course I'd like to hear her side of the story. But she talks about Chester. Now, Chester looks like a very interesting place. In fact, it reminds me of York, which I've been to, and I did a very, very good video there, helped out by a local paranormal and conspiratorial historian, Lily Brunton. If there's a kind of Lily Brunton person in Chester, I'd be very, very interested to talk to them, because maybe I could go there too. But Chester is an ancient city, and it goes back to before Roman times. Now, Ralph, I don't want to go into details now because it's not relevant, but Ralph Ellis had this very interesting idea because there used to be a huge Roman fort at Chester, and that within that fort, the prisoners included Jesus. That's a long story. Don't ask me for details now, but it's a very interesting story. But now in the town hall of Chester, which is this very, very old place, there's loads of ghosts in there. There's been buildings on that location for at least 2,000 years, including the various Roman sites and things like that. The Romans had a huge presence in Chester, and Roman soldiers have been seen there, things like that. There's various haunted pubs, and Dr. Winsper makes a very important point, which is ghosts can be of anyone. I mean, ghosts can be of anyone and anything. Even ghosts are seen during the daylight hours, not just during the night. You can see ghosts of living people, not just dead people, like the doppelganger, which I talked about in the ASAP video, which is where I saw Anne Winsper last time. But what you often find is the majority of ghosts appear to come in what we define as ghosts, meaning discarnate spirits of the dead, people who used to be alive and now dead and they're still around, generally speaking, they are people who've died suddenly, unexpectedly, without any time to prepare themselves mentally for their own death. And they've very often died by violence or in terms of pain and anguish. So people who've died suddenly in accidents, murders, or from a painful illness. Now, this is why hospitals are cities of ghosts. Hospitals are by far the most likely place you're probably going to see a ghost, I think. The North Gate is interesting because the North Gate of Chester, there's a dungeon under there where they used to put people in there, and it was just nothing. It was just like a tiny little space. Most people in these kinds of dungeons used to go crazy and they just stop eating. I mean, people like I know I love the story of the Count of Monte Cristo, but it's especially the one with Richard Chamberlain. That was very, very good, that film. The newer one's not so good. But normally people couldn't survive psychologically in that situation for more than a couple of months before they just stop eating and died. Now, I think Dr. Winsper is a harsh critic of Most Haunted. Now, I spoke to Yvette Fielding in 2020, just before the lockdown, the RawCon. She insists that everything in Most Haunted is real. It's real. Nothing is faked. But of course, that's not what most people and most research says. And Anne is a very, very harsh critic of Most Haunted, and I understand that. Because if some of it is faked, then it really discredits everything that they do. Because now Ross Hemsworth, my good friend Ross Hemsworth, who's a great guy, I'm very fond of him, and he's got integrity as well, because he's best known for presenting Ghost Detectives on Channel 4 with Chris French and Maya Henry. But he was offered he did this thing for BBC Two as well on Halloween, like the real Ghost Watch on Halloween, where they went to the Tower of London. That was very good as well. But he was offered to do a new show for Channel 5 or Channel ITV or one of the main terrestrial platforms. And at the end, he was offered a big budget, full crew, prime time slot, everything like that. And they just said, well, Ross, we're going to have to deliver. Which means, basically, if you can't find any real ghosts, we have to fake them. And Ross, to his credit, got up and walked out, because if for example, Yvette Fielding is wrong, or she's been deceptive, and that some things in Most Haunted are fake, then they're doing a genuine research a huge disservice. Because if you fake anything in any ghost hunt, regardless of the reasons why, regardless of how you try to justify it to yourself, it can only have a bad effect, because it turns you into the little boy who cried wolf. If you do that sort of thing and you go out and you discover genuine phenomena, people are not going to believe it, because you have a track record for being deceptive. So if Most Haunted are like that, then it's very, very bad. If that's the case, then I understand Dr. Winsper's criticism 100%. There's an old church, an old Saxon church in Chester, which has many monks there. Now, there's also Roman soldiers seen, like I said. Now, it's possible that what we call ghosts, we genetically categorize several different phenomena together under the umbrella term ghosts. The stone tape theory, that is where people are simply seeing representations of the past. There's this old cellar and a Roman soldier walks through. Now, they don't appear that, these images appear to be just some kind of three-dimensional projection. They're not sentient. You can speak to them and they won't answer you. They won't even see you, because they're just images. They're images of something that happened there before, which has been stored and is being replayed to you by some mechanism we don't quite understand. Other ghosts are different. Other ghosts appear to be beings which are sentient. They have the ability to perceive you. They have the ability to perceive our world. They may well be spirits of people who've died. If so, then they appear to have some kind of awareness of who they were when they were alive. They appear to retain memories of the life they just had. And indeed, they have the ability to see into our world and sometimes even manifest in our world. Like my girlfriend's dad, if you remember that story I told you about from 2008. From 2008, yeah, when I saw my girlfriend's dad on the train. This is interesting. She says ghosts get fainter as time goes on. Now, why that happens, it could be that they do have a limited ability to continue to influence our world. If they're a stone tape, then maybe the tape gets worn out. like old VHSs used to. After like a few years, they get a bit fuzzy. If it's a sentient spirit, then maybe its ability to interact with the world that's left behind reduces over time. And rather like in the film What Dreams May Come, Chris, the character played by Robin Williams, he spends time going around the world, following his wife around, things like that. And eventually, he leaves her and he goes. And maybe that's what spirits do. maybe there are spirits that are trapped. And of course, what's good about the film Ghost, the one with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg, is that whoever made that film has done their research. Because they're a disturbed ghost, like the guy on the underground train, who's basically, he's a spirit of someone, he's lost his mind, and he's just wandering the tunnels on the trains, kicking, pushing people's newspapers out their hands and things like that. And he's lost soul. I think a lot of ghosts appear to be that. I hope very much that when my time comes and I have to discarnate, that I don't end up like that. I don't want to be like that. It's a very interesting. She told an interesting story about a Roman soldier. It's a bit of a Boudica moment kind of thing because, he was in love with a local girl, and he used to sneak off when he was on duty. A decurion, that is a kind of non-commissioned officer in charge of 10 men, and the local rebels took the opportunity to invade and loot the fort and things like that. Apparently his ghosts can be seen in certain parts of Chester. And of course, you come forward in history 1,000 years or so or more, and you get to like the medieval ghosts. There's lots of monks from the Middle Ages, and then you get to the Civil War, and in one pub there's a ghost of a man who walks around who's got no head. A bit like Anne Boleyn at the Tower of London, she's supposed to carry a head under her arm because she was the queen who was executed. The Civil War ghost, what happened was to him, he got his head shot off by a cannon. Literally a cannonball just went right into his face. Of course, it would just blow your head right off. And he then wanders this pub, this blood-soaked, headless body. Just imagine, great horror movie material here, Anne. Ghosts can sometimes appear as smells. There was the smell of cigars. Or there's a sentient sailor ghost at one point. Apparently, this is a sentient ghost that goes up to people and asks them for help. And he's dressed in an old-fashioned sailor's uniform. That's interesting. And Anne said, if that ghost comes up to me, I'll say, I'd cooperate with them. There's an old hospital where there was a soldier from the First World War. He goes around looking for his old uniform because he was buried in his shroud, which you should never do with a soldier. Of course, the hospital has been converted into luxury flats. So this old Scottish ghost wanders these luxury flats. God knows what he thinks about them. There's a branch of Thornton's Chocolates, and apparently, it's now a mobile phone shop. But it used to be a branch of Thornton's, and there's a poltergeist in there that used to knock the boxes of chocolates off the shelves and things like that. There's been lots of witch burnings in Chester, which has resulted in ghosts, and even the ghosts of cattle. There was apparently there was actually a cattle herder who died, and then when everything you can see them going around looking. This person wanders around looking for their lost herd, and sometimes you can see the cows, ghost cows, and Anne says that the thing about ghosts is that people keep giving you ghost photos, and you think, well, what's the point of those? And they say, look, it's a real ghost photo. There's a red circle. And if you put a red circle, that's a sign there's a ghost in the middle. But Anne, I think, is something of a skeptic. And I think you have to be a bit of a skeptic. Not a lot of a skeptic, just a little bit. It's one of these things you have to be a bit of and not too much. If you're too much of one, you turn into a Mick West or a James Randi. But if you're enough of a skeptic, you can see through some of the, shall I say, male cow excrement, ghostly or otherwise. It's a very interesting talk by Dr. Anne Winsper there. Second speaker was Rob Whitehead. Now, this is interesting, school encounters of UFOs. Now, I really pricked my ears up during this one because this is a speciality of mine, because if you watch regularly, you'll know I've been to Broadhaven. I've been to Broadhaven. Now, Rob himself believes he had an encounter on the coast. I can't remember what coast it was, but it was in 1977. He reckons it was the 6th of April. It was when, well, not 6th of April, no, I'm talking about another case. But it was whenever that, he reckons it was the same time that encounter happened at Broadhaven. He saw a UFO he thought it was cylindrical, but it might have been saucer shaped, skimming along the waves in 1977. And then he saw another one in Ibiza a few years later, the Mediterranean island. And of course, there are many examples we could talk about, which I've talked about before in detail in actual dedicated videos. The Broadhaven encounter itself, which I cover it in my film called Into the Triangle, and there's a follow-up film called Sky Watching the Triangle. There's the Rua case from Zimbabwe, which I cover in my video called Aerial Phenomenon. So I reviewed. And there's the Westall case. This was in Australia in 1966. 6th of April 1966. Classic case, very like Rua. UFO lands near a school. All the kids run out to see it. This is in Melbourne, Australia. But then he brings up a case that I didn't know about. Exactly 1 year later, to the day, the 6th of April 1967, there was a very similar event at a school in Miami, Florida, USA. This was at the Crestview Elementary School. And these kids were seeing basically multiple disc-shaped craft. The teachers saw them too. The official story was helicopters, military helicopters. Rubbish. Typical, I suppose I didn't say weather balloon. Apparently they used the excuse weather balloon for the Westall case. Now, one thing he didn't mention, but another speaker later on mentioned, was Bexley Heath, which of course I've done another video called Bexley Heath UFO. And that may be very, very similar. Now, what happened was in a day, it was actually July 1955, I can't remember the exact date, but it was the day that Disneyland, Florida opened. It was the late July 1955. There was a record-breaking heat wave across the country. Very, very hot weather indeed. Similar to what we've had this year. And we had the not new climate change believers. And now we know that Margaret Fry saw this UFO land on this street in Bexley Heath. At the time it was in Kent, today it's in East London. Yet there was a second similar disc-shaped object landed on a nearby road close to there, where there was a school, as I show you in the film. I visit the location. So that was a very, very good, that was a very interesting talk there by Rob Whitehead. I really appreciated that. So, yeah, and we'll go on to the, we had our lunch break, and then there was the afternoon session with two more speakers. Now, Malcolm Robinson, as you know, I'm pleased to say I've made up with. I've been speaking to him, which is really nice. I appreciate that very much. He he basically, I mean, I made a mistake earlier on because I think I talked about this on camera. But I thought he was going to do the A70. Instead, he's going to do that tomorrow. He's got a double bill for this conference. Today, he did a definitive history of the Loch Ness monster. And this is something that he's been interested in his whole life. He first went to Loch Ness in 1968 as a little boy. He badgered his mum and dad and said, please take me to Loch Ness. I want to go to Loch Ness. And so they went there, and there's some photographs of him at Loch Ness as a little kid. He's fascinated from a young age. But he said, the idea of strange creatures in the water can be found in the sea. The sea is the most common place for finding these strange things, not lakes. And I mentioned other things like the mesosaur and things like that was seen by these German submariners in World War One. The strange creature leapt out the sea. There's Morgaur off the coast of Cornwall. Sea creatures, strange creatures in the sea. We could talk for hours about that. But see, until a few million years ago, Loch Ness was open to the sea. Apparently, the River Ness was actually a deep channel which actually led to the sea. It wasn't just like an overflow. So Loch Ness monster, I think it's real. There's so many sightings of strange things. It goes back to Saint Columba in the year 575. This was a Christian saint who went to convert the Picts to Christianity. Apparently saw the Loch Ness monster, although this was actually in the River Ness, not Loch Ness. Apparently, he was crossing the river on a ferry boat, and this creature appeared, and he banished it with the power of Jesus and things like that. I can't remember the entire story. Now, funnily enough, Nessie has been seen on land. Creatures have been seen crawling across the road near Loch Ness, which is odd. Now, it's possible. I mean, one of the most common theories is that Loch Ness is a plesiosaur. Now, plesiosaur is a long-necked dinosaur with flippers, but basically it was amphibious, and it would come up onto land. It wouldn't be on land. It wasn't very agile. It couldn't travel very far. It could only spend a limited period of time on land. In that way, it was rather like a seal, essentially an aquatic creature with limited land capabilities. The plesiosaur was like that. So you would expect to see it on land. But I personally think, and Malcolm thinks this too, that it's unlikely that it's a plesiosaur, because a plesiosaur was a reptile. It was a type of dinosaur. This means it would be air-breathing. It would mean it would constantly have to come to the surface to breathe, like white whales and dolphins do today. In that case, it would be seen far more often. More likely, it's actually a water breather. It has gills, which would mean it would be a fish or a shark of some kind. Probably some very unusual, unknown type. But that's my guess as well. That's probably what it is. There's been lots of fake stuff, like the surgeon's photo was fake. The famous surgeon's photo from 1933, that was fake. There's been, Malcolm gives a potted history of the deception that went on in this sort of thing. For example, Frank Searle is one of the most infamous figures in this field. For many years, he lived near Loch Ness taking these photographs, which were supposedly real, but they found papier-mâché models. They found that he'd cut bits out of postcards and stuck them onto other images and taken composite shots. But see, the problem is it got him a lot of attention. He was in the media. He always had these younger women with him, things like that. So that thing was how he was kind of uncovered as a fraud. The problem is there's incentive for fraud. When Loch Ness became famous in the early 1930s for its monster, newspapers started advertising and offering cash rewards for people who could produce convincing proof. And of course, that is inevitably going to draw in fraudsters like, bees to honey, or flies to a honey pot, things like that. It's really, they shouldn't have done that. But, it's, as he talks about Operation Deep Scan, which is 1987, which did pick up anomalous, it was a complete sonar scan of the entire loch. It was designed to try and solve the mystery once and for all. but it didn't. And of course, the loch is surrounded by Nessie hunters. You go there today, and they're sitting there with their cameras and their hides and their dormobiles. They're still there to this day. And there's UFO sightings at Loch Ness quite a lot, and Malcolm had a sighting there. But I do believe the Loch Ness Monster is real. The loch is huge. It is enormous. It contains more fresh water than the rest of Britain put together. It has it's 24 miles long, about a mile wide on average. Deepest point is 775 feet. The amount of the volume of water in there is enough to drown the entire human race 3 times over. And what's more, it's very, very opaque water. It's full of peat, which makes it a very, very limited visibility. There's a submarine, actually. There's a Loch Ness submarine. It's a submarine originally built for the oil industry, which has been converted into a tourist submarine, and Malcolm's been down in it. Only cost him £69. That's very cheap. I thought it'd be more than that. I might try that myself. And but you know, the actual depths of Loch Ness, it may just be 775 feet. In terms of distance, we could walk that in 5 minutes. You know, it's a short distance, but we know less about that deep level of the loch than we do scientists. Scientists know less about that deep level of the Loch Ness than they do about some of the distant planets in our solar system. So it's perfect. The ecosystem, there is enough biomass in the loch to such a fish to eat and weed to eat to support a large beast like that. I think so. I think it's quite likely that is the case. The final speaker was John Hanson. As you know, I've talked about my personal problems with him. Making up with him was going to be an awful lot more difficult than making up with Malcolm. But I still listen to his talk with interest. And the funny is, a lot of I must say, maybe I'm prejudiced here because of my personal feelings, but I detected a lot of name dropping. I detected a lot of sort of self-aggrandizement. Look at all these famous people who know about me. You know, apparently Prince Philip owned one of John's books, and it's true. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on John here because Prince Philip was known to be interested in UFOs because of his equerry, Sir Peter Horsley, who had a long career in the Royal Air Force. He was a World War II flying ace. He had a strike command on the organising committee of NATO. He had a similar background to Lord Hill Norton, who also was a big-time believer in UFOs. And Sir Peter Horsley talks in his book about meeting UFOs and that, about meeting aliens, about the aliens passing on messages to him from Prince Philip. He actually has. I wouldn't be surprised if Prince Philip does have one of John's Haunted Skies books, or did, because the old lizard's gone to that great vivarium in the sky, hasn't he? Just like his wife. But he talked about a lady with an injury. Apparently, the lady was injured. She ended up with what he calls a hole in her chest. Horrible thing. She had to have operations. Doris, her name was. He's been writing these Haunted Skies series, which are kind of, to be fair, it's a magnificent achievement. These are an encyclopedic documentation of all these UFO cases across the country. It's like really, he's written. They're very, very glossy, well-designed books with illustrations and things like that. And of course, he's written The Holt Perspective, which I actually showed you a copy of that earlier, didn't I? Someone had a signed copy on the stall, which I've not read, but the problem is he slags off a lot of people in it. He slags off Larry Warren unfairly. I think it was in that book that he doesn't have a go at me, but he then says the things about me which he sort of half blames himself, which contradict what he says later on social media. He starts calling me a thing and saying I stole money from him. So I've not read The Holt Perspective, but I get. He's very much on the side of the anti-Larry Warren brigade. Now, he believes, interestingly, UFOs are indigenous to planet Earth. Now, this is a possibility. You have terms like ultra-terrestrials. They've lived here with us, but we don't know about them. Considering the size of the Earth, it's perfectly possible, but I think it's unlikely, actually. I think it's more likely they are extraterrestrial. So John's views there are sort of controversial and unusual. He talks about bogus officials harassing ufologists, fake traffic wardens, fake policemen, things like that. To me, this sounds a bit like the Men in Black. John pays homage to several people who passed away. Margaret Fry, who's a lady who wrote a very good book, which is the book where I first heard about the Bexley Heath incident, because she was a witness to that, along with her GP. They were witness to that. Margaret Fry, she's an interesting lady. I met her once. Scott Felton knew her very well, because he lived in North Wales, where she comes from. She passed away. I was sad to hear that Kevin Goodman has died. I mean, that was very sad. I mean, I found out about that a couple of months ago. Another one bites the dust, as they say. It feels like everyone's like, the team on the other side is growing, the team on this side is getting smaller. And Kevin Goodman's gone. Kevin Goodman I interviewed him once, and he was the organizer of the famous 2015 Warminster 50 conference, which I covered in the video which I've done. I'm very proud of that video, actually. It's very good. So you can watch that if you want, but it's one of the UFO Disclosure 2015 series, the 50th anniversary of the Warminster thing. When it started in August 1965, when there was that big meeting at the town hall. And that's really what kicked off the whole Warminster thing. David Boyle, of course, I went to his funeral, as you know, from one of the probe videos. Now, he mentions Betty Driver. Now, Betty Driver was a famous actress. She died in her 90s in 2011. Very old. And she's best known for playing a major character in Coronation Street for over 40 years. I can't remember the name of the character was, because I don't watch Corrie. It's almost as bad as EastEnders, I think. Not quite. Nothing's as bad as EastEnders. But apparently, in 1977, she had a major UFO encounter with her sister, somewhere in London. And she wrote to John about it. And other people who John has dealt with, famous people who've had UFO encounters. Liz Kershaw, the DJ. Now, Liz Kershaw was kind of a DJ from my generation. She was like one of the Radio 1 DJs from when I was a teenager. She had, in 1981, she had a UFO encounter. He mentioned Margaret Fry's Bexley Heath encounter. He's also written a book, co-authored with another ex-policeman, because he's an ex-policeman, called Policing the Haunted Skies, which is about, it's about police having sightings. So a bit like Gary Heseltine's police UFO, the Prufos database. Police reporting UFO sightings. Policemen are very likely to see UFO sightings because they're often driving around on their own at night. If they're lucky, they'll see one flying over their head like Tony Dodd did. If they're less lucky, they'll get abducted like Alan Godfrey. But either way, policemen are very, very likely to have these kinds of encounters. And also, he mentions Pauline Coombs. Now, Pauline Coombs, you'll know from my triangle videos, the Welsh triangle videos, the two I did. Pauline Coombs was a lady who ran a hotel. No, sorry. Someone I know. So she was friends with the lady who ran the hotel at Broadhaven. She ran Ripston Farm. And she was in touch with this lady at the hotel, of course, and they were monitoring UFOs coming in and out of the sea. John's met her and interviewed her. She doesn't want anything to do with this sort of thing now. He asked, is King Charles interested? That's an interesting question. Would King Charles, our new king, be interested in UFOs? And the answer is probably yes, because we know he's open to alternative ideas. He's often been called the woo-woo king by the skeptics. I think he's into alternative ideas that are very dangerous. This is why I call him the Bug Burger King, because he's so chummy with bloody Klaus Schwab and the Davos set. With the influence of his father, Prince Philip, we don't know for certain, but John's going to try and sell him one of the books. So he'd be interested to know if King Charles actually buys one of John's books. So basically, that I did find that interesting. You know, leaving aside my personal issues with John, it's like with Andrew Johnson. You know, I'm not going to let a personal dispute get in the way of the fact that if someone says something interesting and it's worth listening to, I'll listen to them. And I'll listen to what they have to say, and I'll deal with the factual nature of their message, and I'll separate it from my personal animosity for that person. And I've managed to do that with John Hanson, just like I do with Andrew Johnson. So, yeah, I thought that was generally is a good job. Like I say, a bit self-aggrandizing, but still interesting information there. And that was the speakers for the first day, Saturday, of LAPIS, the LAPIS Conference of 2022. Hey, look, the mogul's still here. That was our Sunday night traditional haunt at Probe. We used to go there with Miles, and Miles would put something on Facebook saying, "I'm in Curry lockdown." I'm heading now for the townhouse, so we're coming back to the main street right now, and we're all supposed to be meeting there at 6:30. So we'll be having dinner and basically shooting the breeze with my LAPIS friends. So for me, that's just pure paradise. So I can't wait. It's the second out of 3 nights I get to do that. So can't wait. That's absolutely wonderful. And here we are, St. Anne's at night. It's a beautiful place, but the spikes are not lit up in blue on top of the street lamps. I don't know why that is, but never mind. It's still very, very nice indeed. So you just enjoy that. Look at the sky over there, over the pier, over the whalebones and the penny farthing bikes. So here we are. Townhouse is just over there by the railway station. I'm sure you've seen it before because I've been there many, many times. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a pleasant evening. Let's cross over here. There you go, see the lights of St. Anne's. This is an old poster there for Lisbon St. Anne's. Sea breezes and sunshine. I don't know how old that is, but it's lovely. I disagree. We're all sitting here having our dinner and everyone's here. So wave for the Panmo TV viewers, everyone. Give them a wave. Hello. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for everything, guys.
I'm not that good.
And we are in the vault again. This is we've been here before. We're back again. There's a few more of us this time. We're having fun here. It's great, isn't it? It's great. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's very cosy and comfortable. You can see this used to be a bank, and this is where they kept all the money. So there's an awesome amount of richness. But I won't focus.
Don't look at the photos.
Yeah, if you look at them, they're a bit racy. In fact, I won't focus on them, or this video will get banned by YouTube. So I won't focus on them. Well, hello everyone. I'm back at the hotel now. It's not that late actually. It's only just gone 11. I was just sitting there in the pub and I just felt the energy draining out of me. It's just like maybe it's just I was a bit of an information overload. I'm sitting next to John Hanson for a while, so I'm trying to ignore him. Which I try to do it in a way. I wasn't being aggressively ignoring him. I was just not acting like he wasn't there. It was just so I don't think I did any harm. I don't think anyone else picked up on it. But I was just. We were in the vault and it got very hot and several people left because it was too hot in there. Then the band started, it got too noisy. So basically I went with Richard and another guy round to the Wetherspoons, see what it's like in there. The fans quite quiet. So we tried to call them and let them know, because they're in the vault, surrounded by 6 inches of cast iron wall. It's a Faraday cage, you can't get a signal in there. So I had to go around there and tell them. Luckily, it's only like a 2-minute walk. But you know, I was just thinking, inside that vault is the perfect place to do an EVP experiment. Don Phillips, if you're watching, that's the place to go, I'll tell you. No background interference at all. Perfect Faraday cage. So we went to the Wetherspoons. We sat down, and I was just like, we're having a wonderful discussion. I mean, Richard's very into. We're having a lovely discussion about folk horror. Richard loves it, and he's a big fan of like The Wicker Man and American Werewolf in London and things like that. And I was talking about The Borderlands, which is a brilliant film. And we had a great time. But I just felt the energy draining out of me like that. And then, You know, eventually I just got, like, so I'm going to go to bed. So I came back here and I checked the news, and it's getting, you know, as if it's possible for it to get more boring. The prime ministerial electoral process is getting more and more boring. It's possible. It looks like Boris is now being blocked. He's becoming less popular. So, you know, Penny, what was it? No, what's her name? Emily Maitland. She was tweeting, "Oh, the Boris. This is the same Boris that lost those. You know, the Boris was facing a much weaker Labour Party in 2019. Oh, Boris has already lost multiple by-elections and the local elections since then. This is the same Boris who was the candidate in 2019. No, he's not. It's not the same Boris. I don't know if some people say he was cloned. I don't dispute that. Or somebody somehow he was got to. I don't know. But those are two different Borises by far. And there's no reason to think that the Boris who was the British Trump in 2019 is now the Boris who's back again. There's no reason to think that at all. I think we have to assume he's the bad old Boris, the one who took us into the lockdown, the one who bloody behaved in a completely conformist manner ever since. We have to assume it's the same Boris, so basically it doesn't matter if he gets back in. Who cares? The other alternative is Penny Mordaunt and Rishi Sunak. Again, it's getting. It looks like they're going to be the only candidates. I think there's no one else who's putting their name forward. Kemi Badenoch has disappointed me. She says she's not going to run for Prime Minister. She's not going to run for Prime Minister, even though she's been tipped as a future leader. Yeah, well, come on, Kemi, do it. Lead. No, she's now backing Rishi Sunak. Oh, God, bloody hell. Every time you look up to someone, they disappoint you. So the news at the moment is not looking good. The nominations close 2 p.m. on Monday, which is just about the time I get home. Looks like it's only going to be Rishi Sunak, it's going to be Penny Mordaunt, it's going to be Boris Johnson, they're going to be the only three. Probably Rishi will win, and who gives? In this case, he's just a male, dark-skinned Liz Truss, supposedly. How long will he last, I wonder? Oh, what a drag. It's, you know, you've got to just... I can't look at this too much or I'll drive myself nuts. But not to worry, I'm having one more night here at the Travelodge, and then I'm going to the Speaker's Hotel tomorrow night. So I've got to pack up my stuff and take my belongings with me when I leave in the morning, which is not going to be a problem because it's only my rucksack with a few things. So that is the next step. I think that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I'll be staying at the... I think it's the Elsinghurst they're staying at, so never stayed at before. It'd be nice. Looking forward to that very much indeed. So with that being said, I think I'll go to bed, even though it's only just gone 11 o'clock. I'm normally a bit more of a night owl than this. I'm going to go to bed. So good night, everyone. See you in the morning. This is the clock house here in Lytham St Anne's. I turned up after I travelled overnight once on a coach. I think it was literally to do my talk at New Horizons House, which went well despite that. And I came here to the Clock House Tea Rooms and Ice Cream Parlour, and it's not 11:15. It's actually about 8:15 here in Lytham St Anne's. And Sunday morning, early in Lytham St Anne's, it's got a lovely atmosphere. There's no sound except seagulls, very little traffic. And of course there's tea rooms and ice cream parlour, and they're still there. And there used to be a cafe here as well. Yeah, see, you can pause and read that. And if you go here and have a look inside, you'll see the cafe is gone. Because I actually came here after being an all-night coach journey, which I don't recommend. And I turned up at Lytham St Anne's, had a big full English breakfast here at the Clock House, and it's gone. The ice cream and tea parlour still here, but the actual cafe is gone. And it was a lovely cafe, lovely little cafe. And as I say, it's just the thing I needed after all night journey. And it's sad, and it obviously didn't survive the lockdown, so I just got to move on. I'm gonna find somewhere else. There's another place up here I might try and have some breakfast, but this has happened several times to me. You go and look for a place, that I used to know and love, and it's gone. It's either derelict like that, or it's turned into like some kind of tourist shop or something like that, or something else that wasn't before, a branch of a bank or something. The lockdown really has decimated the small business world, and it's going to move on. It's rather like, I suppose there's a film actually called Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but it's a very heart-rending film actually. It's emotionally draining, I would say, and there's a scene in the film to show you the street when there's no, in the early morning on a Sunday. Yeah, see, it's really quiet and it's lovely and quiet here. There's a scene in where Robin Williams is a robot. This is set in the future. He's a robot, but he's through some mechanisms never explained, he's developed like a personality, a consciousness, and he goes and he looks for all the other robots, and he's serious because he's very lonely because he's the only robot that has a consciousness, and he goes searching all over the world for these robots, and he keeps coming across them, and they've either been reprogrammed or they're destroyed, and every time he sees one, you see like a little display, you see kind of his own, you see things as he would through his eyes, which includes some text, and it just says possibility eliminated, and he just moves on. But he's a very, very emotional robot. You know, there's so much pain behind those words. Possibility eliminated, move on. Possibility limited, he goes on to the next one. He stoically moves from one possibility to the next, trying to find the robot which he thinks is his soulmate. And he can't. And every time he meets them, and you see this. There is all that pain behind the words, which he stoically buries beneath his very, very pragmatic self-control. That's kind of how I feel when I see something like the Clockhouse there. Possibly eliminated, move on. Sad, really. It's very sad. Anyway, there's another place up here where I might be able to get a nice breakfast. I haven't checked out the hotel yet. I've left my bag in there. I don't want to lug that around all day. I don't want to start now. But I'm going to go to the Speaker's Hotel this evening, which would be nice. Okay, this is where I had breakfast. Tasty snacks within St Anne's. Yeah, so I do recommend that. It's actually not a nice place. It's kind of like a happy afterlude, or what's the word? Sequel to what I said earlier about, you know, possibility lost, move on, you know. I found that place. Now, that place I don't think was there last time, so it's quite a new business. So it appears post-lockdown, new businesses are arising from the ashes of the old, phoenix-like. Now they do a good breakfast. It's £10, so it's more expensive than the Wetherspoons one, but it's bigger. You get quite a lot. Not the best coffee in the world, but certainly very nice food. I do recommend that. Oh, they've got the blue spikes on. Yay! So I'm now heading up to the venue for day 2. Funny how, you know, this with all the preparation and all the looking forward and stuff like that goes into these conferences. Once they start, they're over very quickly. Time really rushes through during the actual weekend you're here. I mean, it is literally like you get in there and it's almost like it's over like that. You know, and that's like, it's sad that in a way. It's a sad thing, although I don't get the post-pro blues I used to. That doesn't happen to me anymore, I'm glad to say. But I still wait till the bus car goes. I don't get the post-pro blues like I used to, but it's still, you know, sad when you come to the end. You've got to go back to the so-called real world. which for me is, I've got to face facts. I live quite an isolated existence. I don't, you know, I don't have a really friends in my own life in Oxford. Well, I did, to be honest, it's partly my fault because there are people that I could make more effort to stay in touch with who are kind of on my side, but even they, you know, they're not. I mean, I did meet up with a couple of people, but they were just solely focused on COVID. It was like almost 100% COVID orientated group of people, to the point where you couldn't really talk about anything else. It was just that or nothing. That was all that mattered. And of course, that's not all that matters. It's an important thing. It's not all that matters. So I haven't been back to that group. I see them. I mean, I'm not against them. It's just they're not really quite on my wavelength. Because I've established my own group, Dreaming Sources, which I did have that one conference, but there were no local people there, which is a shame. You know, there's Ellis Taylor, but Ellis is like a visitor. Ellis doesn't actually live in Oxford really much. Well, he lives in, he sort of divides his time. He lives in various places. He lives in West Wales, but also in Australia. So he's rushing between those places all the time. I'm just wiping the the raindrops off the lens, and so I don't really see it very often. Yeah, I mean, it is. I suppose that the only chance to sort of mingle with people like myself is really the main opportunities I get is when I come to conferences like this. Now I could make more effort myself in Oxford. I could, you know, spend more, get involved more with these groups, I suppose, because even though they're COVID orientated, you know, they're not totally. See, there used to be a group in High Wycombe. It was the High Wycombe Paranormal Meetup group, who now disbanded, unfortunately, through lack of interest. They've now disbanded, which is a shame. That group's now shut down. I used to go along to them. I was in High Wycombe. So, you know, I mean, this is why you see, I'd rather, you know, I get more input and more, I get better conversations online with people, you know, than I do in my real world. And I suppose maybe it's because I haven't put in enough effort. Maybe it's because I'm such a weird person. Yeah, we're going up now towards St Anne's for day 2, and you know, once the day starts and it's over, it's pretty over quick. I mean, the good news is I've actually left the Travelodge. I'm staying tonight at the Elsinghurst, I believe. It's one of the hotels on Derb Road. I can't remember if it's the Elsinghurst or another, but that's where I'm staying tonight. And pardon me. I'm having dinner later with everyone, so that's good. So in a sense, that makes it last a bit longer. The whole experience, you know, I don't have to rush off. And then in the morning I've got my train, so I'll get home quite quick, which is, I suppose, quite nice. Once I leave St Anne's, I want to get home quite quick and get back into things, because there's so much to do, planning next week's radio show, stuff like that. Excuse me. So much planning to do, you know. I really want. I suppose I don't really feel isolated, you see. I suppose I am. I don't necessarily feel it because I have so many good friends online, and maybe, you know, maybe that's all I need, really, when it comes down to it. We're nearly at the YMCA now, heading there. I've got my rucksack with me because I've got all my luggage with me. Going to the hotel at Derb Road. So that's my next stop. And it was nice for Janet to invite me to that. It was very nice. You know, Janet's a wonderful person. She really is. She's very warm-hearted, very dedicated. Does a lot. All this organising work she does It wouldn't happen without her, I don't think. And of course, she's assisted by so many other people. And you know, I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate it either. That the appreciation I feel for those people. Oh, there's Brian. There's Brian and Deborah. There's Brian and Debbie there. Two people went past. I don't want to understate it either. How much I appreciate what they do. That without them, conferences like this wouldn't happen. It is very often people behind the scenes, people who don't speak and don't do anything public, that are the best organisers, are the people who tend to be good at the organisational work. Whereas people like me, you know, the flamboyant public face of the subject, our organising abilities are slightly less than your average house cat. So we're a good symbiosis. I think we both have our talents in the right places. There we are now. Look at old YMCA. And for day 2, and really when you get to this point, it's kind of like almost done. It feels like it's almost done at this point, and I mean that is true. But we've got some good speakers coming up. I'll show you them in a minute. I don't want to get my menu. I don't want to get my program out yet and get it all wet because it's raining. It's actually not very cold today. It's actually quite warm, and but it's raining. It's raining quite hard. So they just say the weather forecast wasn't very good, but you know it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It didn't rain on Friday, or it only rained a little bit on Friday. So there was actually some sunshine on Friday evening. There's Gail and Ben. Hello, guys. Hello. They're in the usual smoker's corner. How you doing? How are you? Are you well? No. Oh dear, what's the matter? Why happened? Why? Oh God, you've got a hangover.
The devil drink.
Oh yes. I left early. I felt my energy just draining, and I went. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was. Gail was a long way from me. You can't blame her. But I think it was because I had COVID last month. Maybe it's taken more toll than I thought.
It does take. A lot of people have said that. It takes quite a while to get over it.
Yeah.
You're very croaky.
Yeah, my voice is improving slightly, but my voice and coughing is like this. But I'm assuming now after 2 months, I've still got this bad voice. I don't know how long it's going to last. So wait for it to come. Hello, Brian. How you doing? So let's go in there and have a look at what's going on. I'll see you guys later. I'm staying at the Speakers Hotel tonight, which is nice.
Excellent, so are we.
Oh great, we'll see you there. I think they give us breakfast in the morning.
They do, yes. You have to order it beforehand.
Tell them exactly what time you're going to be.
What you want.
Right.
Exactly what time you're going to be there.
Is it the Elsinghurst? What's it called?
Claremont.
The Claremont, that's it, Claremont. Yeah. Right, I'll go down. I'll make sure I do that when I arrive. Yeah, I'll go and check in actually when the conference is over. See you later, guys.
See you, bye-bye.
So some LAPIS attendees, and here we are in the YMCA. I'm going to go through now. I think there'd be a few people here by now. There's a couple of people who have arrived. And we're going to see. Here we are, LAPIS Paranormal. Yeah. Let's get a shot of that. That's the title shot. It's a nice logo, it's just simple, you know. And here we are. Yes, here we are. And here is the venue. Most people haven't arrived yet. We're just sort of sitting down. Yo, how's it going? Hello, Steve. How you doing? Thanks. And this is. I mean, you've seen all these stalls before, but some of them are gone now. The stalls that were over there are gone. But I've still got. Richard's still got his. So I'm still going to work on that, yeah. There must have been, I think probably most of these seats were full yesterday. Hello Malcolm, how are you? Are you alright? Cool. I am, yes. I'm doing a Panmo TV video, is that alright? You know, Malcolm Robinson, yeah, I think you've seen Malcolm Robinson before on various things. You're quite well known in this field, aren't you?
Do my best.
Yeah. Interesting talk about Nessie yesterday. I learned a lot about that.
I mean, it was just a historical reference to the Loch Ness Enigma, going right through the years, showing how it developed, and also, you know, talking about the underwater photographs and all the kind of dodgy photographs. So yeah. It was just to inform the audience about that, really. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting because there was a couple of people who taken photographs long ago, with surgeon's photo and things like that. And I think it's when the newspapers started offering money and things like that to people for proof. That is asking for trouble, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously, like there's people like us who do it for the love of it. You know, like,
Absolutely. As I said in my talk yesterday, that I do believe that sonar evidence is the best evidence to suggest there's something in excess of 20, 25 feet for sure. It may well be a kind of elongated, kind of mutated eel, possibly. You know, certainly not a pleasure sword. As I said in my talk yesterday, could be a sturgeon fish, like Adrian Shine reckons it could be that. But you're talking about cases back in the day with the long elongated neck and the small head, so that kind of rules out a sturgeon, because as we know, a sturgeon can grow to about 14 feet long. It's got a big long
they're
snout.
enormous. Yeah.
It's not got an extendable neck, and so I don't
It's more like a classic fish shape, isn't it? Even though it's very, very big fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my guess is it's some kind of very unusual species of fish or shark. It's certainly not, like I say, a mammal or reptile. Otherwise, it would be sticking its head up all the time to breathe. It's obviously something that can go down, stay down. And, as you said, you know, we scientists have learned a lot about the world and the world's beyond. You know, but you go down just a few hundred feet in Loch Ness, you're in a world where it's more mysterious than the distant planets of our solar system.
Yeah.
They've learnt less about it than that. That's quite. It's a very strange place. But
it's a big part of my life, you know.
You showed photos of yourself when you were a little kid there. It's like, you've been doing this your whole life, haven't you, since you were a little kid?
Absolutely, and I mean, being Scottish, it's just a place that you had to go to. Your father and your mother regaled you with these tales, with this water kelpie, exploring the depths of Loch Ness. And then as a youngster, I went up, I was mesmerised by the place. And then obviously I just, when I was teenage years, camped around the loch, interviewed people, learned these amazing tales, and it was fantastic, you know.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've been there. I went there in 2005, and it was a really amazing place to visit. There's this pitch black waters, and there's these thick hills above it, and it's really
It's a beautiful place. If any of your viewers have not been there, please go to Loch Ness, because it's absolutely marvellous. And it's just got that charisma, it's got that magic, and it's dear to my heart, of course, you know, being Scottish. And let's not forget Loch Morar, which is another Scottish loch. It's only about 11 miles long, but it's much more deeper than Loch Ness. It's equally got a monster, for want of a better word.
Morag, isn't it? Morag.
Correct, absolutely,
yes.
Yeah. And we love giving your beasties a strange female name, you know.
Yeah, they're probably more. There's bound to be probably an entire breeding population, whatever it is. But there are other lakes. I mean, it seems whenever you get these large lakes, there are tales of strange creatures in them. There's champ, you know, things like that in Lake Champlain, Ogopogo. These are in Canada and the United States.
Yes.
So it seems to be a kind of recurring story, as if they automatically attract some kind of creature. These large bodies of fresh water.
Yeah, it's a strange world. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, Ogopogo in Canada, you've got lake monsters in Russia, they're all over the world. So what we're dealing with here, I don't think it's a prehistoric animal as such, but like I said in my talk yesterday, Ben, we didn't discover the coelacanth fish, an ancient prehistoric fish that was thought extinct for millions of years, and it surfaced off the coast of Madagascar in 1938, and they've been catching the coelacanth since then. And like I also said, just finding a new species of frog and insect on this planet on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, who knows, there may be something bizarre in these lochs.
Our mutual friend Richard Freeman has dedicated his life to this. He's also tracking down unknown animals, but also animals considered extinct, like the thylacine, the marsupial wolf of Tasmania. He's convinced that's still alive.
Yes.
You know, because Tasmania is actually about the same size as Scotland, but it has a population of, like, I think about 1.5 million. Not many people, so it's a lot. Tasmania. So it has a lot of open space there. I think people underestimate the size of the world if you live in a city or somewhere. What are you going to talk about today, Malcolm?
Well, today I'm speaking about Scotland's first recorded or officially reported UFO abduction called Day 70, and it's a case concerning two guys from Edinburgh who were travelling down this lonely country road on their way to visit somebody, saw a UFO and claimed they were abducted. So today I'll be speaking about what happened on that journey, what happened under hypnosis, and the outcome of that, you know, and all the explosive nature of the media hype that was centred around the A70 case. And it's a case I felt deserved its own book, hence I wrote a book solely about that. It was updated recently with new testimony from Gary and that, you know, so yeah, it's going to be a big case, it's a massive case, and I'm Really looking forward to speaking.
Brilliant. I mean, I know the basics of the case. I read one of your Scotland books about Scottish UFO books, but I'm sure I'm looking forward to the updates and things like that. So thanks very much, Malcolm. I really look forward to that.
No problem.
Great.
Pleasure meeting you, sir.
You too. See you. Hey, I'm with Janet and Paul, who are on the organising team. You've heard about these guys before, but how are you guys doing? You having a good weekend?
Yeah, it's been really well. Yeah.
It's been hard work for you, I bet.
It's the organising is hard work. Once we get to this point, it's easy.
All right, yeah. Have you been happy with the speakers and happy with everything that's going on here? Has it all gone well?
Yeah, it's. I mean, we know that the people doing the talks are so good anyway, so that's never really an issue. We know it's going to be good, but yeah, everything has gone according to plan, and yeah, it's really good.
How long have you been doing LAPIS for?
The conferences since the mid-1980s, we think. If you look on the back wall, there's some flyers.
I'll go and check those out.
Conferences.
Oh my goodness, yeah. 1988 to 2022. Oh wow, yeah. Obviously, you had to skip a few years here and there, but
Yeah, it was obviously different people organising over the years.
Oh, cool. So, well, that's really, really great. I want to just take this opportunity to say thank you very much for everything you've done. And I myself have really enjoyed it here. And I came to the last one, and I'm glad to come to this one as well. So hopefully I'll come to future ones, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you very much.
So these are the various posters we have here. So, UFO Conference 1989. And the Elsie case. That's oh, there's a photo. That's now come back up. Oh, it's Philip Spencer. Now, some people are saying that Philip Spencer is not his real name. There's lots of thoughts about exactly what that means. Earthline's around. Andy Roberts, oh blimey, he goes back all that time. Andy Roberts and David Clark. Oh, goodness me. Right back in 1989 they were doing this sort of thing. UFOs, the evidence. Oh, cool. That looks good, doesn't it? And it's 1994 UFO Conference. All right. Philip Mantle. You recognise some of these names. Mike Oram. They've done it all ran. Jenny Randalls, Lucy Pringle, crop circle researcher, Arthur Tomlinson, yeah. And we have Lancashire Anomalous. This is when it was LAPIS 2018. Oh, this is the one I went to. This one. That was a good one. I remember, yeah. And that was. I've got the video of that one. There'll be a link in the description box to that. And UFO 1999. Nick Redfern, Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe, Jose Escamilla. He's dead now, yeah. Jonathan Downs, he's cool, he is. So that's, see, it goes back, there's a bit of history for you on the bright day-glow orange paper. Okay, so who have we got today? Well, Malcolm Robinson, as you should just seen, he's on. Rob Whitehead's going to introduce us. Then it's Jeff the Talking Mongoose by Richard Freeman and Jackie Tonks. And Haunted Bathrooms by Steve Jones. My goodness me, that'll be very... that'll be very convenient. Then Dave Hodrian. Now, Dave Hodrian, as you know, you may. Well, I talked about it. I haven't actually filmed it, but I recorded it audio. I spoke at the Birmingham UFO group a couple of weeks ago, so it'd be nice to see Dave again. And that's the end. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's lunchtime now on the second day, Sunday, here at the Lancashire Anomalous Phenomena Investigation Society's conference, and we've had a very interesting talk with about Jeff the Mongoose. I'll tell you more about that later. And I'm here with Nicola. So, Nicola.
Hello. It's lunchtime, but we're still all full from the booze.
Yes. We had quite a lot last night, didn't we? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I don't know what time you went to bed, but I was in bed quite early. But some of them stayed until about midnight, I think.
Absolutely. Well, we're all having great fun despite the weather. It has actually stopped raining now.
Thank goodness.
There are weather reports, really bad weather reports about. So people thinking of driving this evening, take care.
Yeah, definitely. Have you really enjoyed yourself this weekend?
Always. So many friends, so many interesting people. You should all come down to the next one.
How many LAPIS conferences have you been to?
Actually, I'll tell you the truth. Janet invites me every year. This is the first one I've ever made.
Oh,
she used to come down to mine the Weird Weekend down in Devon, which is always great fun.
Is that still going?
Not in Devon anymore. It's the Weird Weekend North now.
That's the one I went to.
Yes, come along next year. I think
Were you
it's
there?
April. I didn't manage this year, no.
Because I've been
Work
twice.
commitments.
Twice. I spoke in 2018 and I went again this year. Which Glenn Vaudrey's organising and does a very good job. I never got to go to the Devon one at Wolf-Ardisworthy.
Oh, they call it Woolsbury.
Woolsbury, yeah, because it's got Wolf-Ardisworthy, but it's pronounced
Woolsbury.
Yeah. The home of the Centre for 14 Zoology. It's it really looked really good. So
it was the best. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, lunchtime and off we go.
Which is your favourite? Have you got a favourite speaker so far? Bear in mind we've got 2 more to see.
No, all of them. I love them all.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're mainly good friends of mine.
Oh yeah.
Malcolm, he used to stay with me. And yeah, no, he's wonderful. Always comes out with the most interesting things.
He did today as well. I'll tell you more about Malcolm's talk later. But yeah, Malcolm was great. Jackie and Richard, I know them very well too. They're friends of mine too, and they did a very interesting talk about Jeff the Mongoose. Really fascinating stuff. So there's 2 more good speakers. There's Steve Jones. Now he can speak. He can speak and speak and speak and speak. So we're looking forward to hear what he says about haunted bathrooms. I hope it won't be too inconvenient.
Oh.
And then finally, Dave Hodrian, because of course I spoke at his group a couple of weeks ago, and he's speaking here now, and I'll be able to see him. So we're having a great time. So Nicola, thank you very much for being on Herpanwo TV.
Thank you.
I've got a slightly longer lunch break, and then it's back to back into the chairs, and hope I won't fall asleep. I did nod off slightly. It's inevitable. I do. That's why I never sit on the front row, because the speaker will think, "Oh God, this person's bored." I'm not bored. It's just I can't help. I'm getting drowsy at times. So see you later. Well, the event is almost over. We just heard Steve Jones talking about bog ghosts in toilets, and there's only one more talk to do, which is Dave Hodrian's. We just don't see many people around. These guys sitting around having a chat, and then there's the dinner tonight, and then home. And here they all are, the entire team. Thanks for everything, guys. Thank you. See you then. So, welcome to the hallowed halls of the Speaker's Hotel. I'm up here in the attic with this dormer here. I always tend to end up on top floors and attics in B&Bs. I don't know why that is. Probably because I'm closer to heaven. Anyway, I'm just going to give you a quick tour of the room. It's a 2-bedded room, but just me in here tonight. Chance to be a fine thing otherwise, wouldn't it? So the usual tea kettle with tea and coffee and stuff like that. The bathroom's got a full ensuite bathroom, bog, sink, toilet, and with a non-psycho shower, and there's a shower there. Hopefully there's no ghosts in here. You have this wardrobe here with a full-length mirror, and nothing in there except a hairdryer, which is not exactly anything you really need. Beautiful image there of St Anne's Pier. That's very nice. I like that. And there's your usual things. Apparently there's a lot of rules and regulations here, you know, usual rules and regulations. So let's have a quick, there's a TV. Nice TV set here. Why have we got a DVD player on the side of it? It doesn't, because I've bought a DVD from Penny's stall. No, it doesn't. Never mind tomorrow, I've got a TV set, so I can catch up on my daily dose of bullshit. And out here, let's look at Derby Road, or Derby Road, however you pronounce it. This is right at the top of Derby Road. Here's number 1 Derby Road, the Claremont. I think Colin might have stayed here at some point, I don't know. Looks kind of familiar. Of course, Derby Road is very familiar because just down there is the Elsinghurst, which was the original Probe Speakers Hotel. And of course, at Astra, where I stayed quite a few times. So I'm just going to have a cup of something or other, and I don't know. I mean, I think the others might be going to sleep, having little naps, because you know, we're old fogies. We're not like the young rock stars. So that's a nice picture, isn't it? It's a lovely image there. Yeah, it's beautiful. So that's where I am right now, here in the Speaker's Hotel. Hello, everyone. I'm at the Speaker's Hotel. And the conference is over. As you can see, it ended very quickly. Dave Hodrin did his talk, and then it was all over. As you see, the speakers lined up there, and I managed to get a shot of all the speakers and all the crew. And that was it. That was the end of it. And it is always sad when that happens. And it's not like it used to be. I don't get the post-pro blues that used to dog me so much. I don't get the post-pro blues that I used to. I hope that didn't affect the recording, by the way, because I just had it in studio mode with a preview. But it is still it seems to be over so very quickly. It's unbelievable. But it's just I've had such a wonderful time. It's been everything it promised to be, this conference, and I just want to say how grateful I am. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't care how many times, but I'm so grateful to Janet and Paul and Brian and John and everyone else who organises it and does all the technical work, all the people behind the scenes whose names very few people know. But without them, there'd be nothing. We'd be nothing, because we people who are always putting our face out there and our voice out there. We know sweet FA about organising, most of us. Most of us are hopeless at it. And there's a couple of people who are all-rounders. Richard D. Hall is a bit of an all-rounder. Most of us, though, we either do one or the other. We're either public or we're behind the scenes. I happen to be a public person. But anyway, it was a fascinating day of speakers. Malcolm Robinson did his second talk of the conference. He's booked for a double bill. The A70 abduction, yeah. This is an interesting case. It happened on because I haven't got the Wi-Fi. I'll look up the details of it, because I don't want to get the technical details wrong here. Even though Malcolm, of course, did provide some, but I want to get the various details right. The reason is because I have read about this before. Alien abduction, A70, Scotland. Yeah, I've read about this before because it was in Malcolm's first book. Malcolm wrote a book about this. He wrote a book about this it's about many things, because it was called UFO Case Files of Scotland. And there's no shortage of those. I mean, for its considering it's quite a small country with quite a low population in terms of area and population, this little country that occupies the northern third of Great Britain has had more paranormal and ufological phenomena than, for its size and for its, for its size and population than anywhere else in the world. Now, the A70 abduction is one that happened in 1992. Two men from Edinburgh were driving along the A70 road. This is through a remote area of Scotland. There's lots of remote areas of Scotland. They went round a corner, and suddenly there's this black disc-shaped object hovering above the road, about 20 feet above the road, they say. And falling from it is what they describe as being like glitter, gleaming silver rain, almost. And they drive into it, and everything goes black, and they don't know what the hell's going on. Next minute, they're out the other side of it, but they're on the wrong side of the road, and their seatbelts are off, so they very quickly get back onto the right, to get control of the car, get on the right side of the road, and get the hell out of there. They turn up at their destination, which is in the town of Tarbrax, 2 hours late. Huge missing time. I mean, to go into the details, what follows is it's a typical. It's a very typical abduction phenomenon. They had strange dreams from then on, weird scars on their body. They started investigating. They bought Jenny Randall's book. Jenny Randall's one of her books. They weren't big UFO fanatics. They didn't know anything about UFOs. They had no interest in it before then, until it affected them personally, which is often the case. And so they went to the first person they could think of, which was Jenny Randall's, or her book, because she's one of the best-known authors. They read that. They then got in touch with Malcolm Robinson. Malcolm got a hypnotherapist. And the hypnotherapist revealed certain hidden memories. Now, and the skeptics will say, no, the hypnotherapist puts memories in people's heads. No, they don't. Not a good hypnotherapist. You know, what happened to those guys on the A70 is actually very similar to Betty and Barney Hill. It's almost a completely typical alien abduction. Fascinating. I think it's real. I do. It had, even though I've read about it in Malcolm's book, Malcolm's written another book dedicated to the incident, which goes into more detail. For example, I mean, there were some things which are different in this one. For example, they would it appears they weren't inside the craft. The craft wasn't big enough for what was inside it. Now, some people have often said this: they go into a craft and it's actually bigger on the inside, like the TARDIS of Doctor Who fame. There was they were in a cavern at one point, a huge cavern, and aliens were flying. These grey aliens were like flying in the sky, in the air, in the cavern. The actual examination room was was too big to be in the craft. There were many, many other people. They found themselves among other people. This is the very interesting thing, and this is where this does stand out in abduction stories. There was other people, including one young woman who one of the witnesses saw, and she turned and looked at him, and she was crying. She was in enormous distress. She was crouched on the floor, no clothes. Obviously, she'd been taken like he was. And he said if he ever saw her, he'd recognise that face. He knew her. Then the newspapers got involved, and now, when it comes to newspapers and TV, all right, it's like Grange Hill used to say about taking drugs. Just say no. For goodness sake, don't talk to the bloody mainstream media if you've had an alien abduction. Whatever you do, don't talk to them. Even it could be that some people, there's some therapists who will persuade you to. This is one of the problems with the Hamash thing, with that horrible documentary. Sometimes they might mistakenly advise you to take part in it and say, don't do it. The newspaper headlines were typical. I was taken by aliens to a spaceship and met a naked woman and things like that. Oh, God. The witnesses had nothing to gain from this. They haven't made any money off this. One of them now just wants nothing to do with it and won't talk to anyone, not even to his researchers. They had illnesses as a result of this. It turned out one of the guys, when he was hypnotized, turned out he'd had previous experiences in his life which he'd forgotten. His wife was attacked by aliens. There was going to be a movie made of this, but it never was. But that's a shame. They were going to get Dougray Scott and Billy Boyd to play Gary and the other guy, who were the two guys. They're two very famous Scottish actors, but the film was cancelled. Great shame. That'd have been good. Jackie Tonks and Richard Freeman came on, and they were talking about Jeff the Mongoose. Now, this is where I really felt. I feel sad. I feel left out because I was going to go to the Isle of Man with the team that investigated this, and I couldn't because they had all these bullshit damn restrictions on lockdowns and things like that. So the team went over there, including Jackie and Richard. Jeff the Mongoose is a very strange thing. It's the Irving family that moved into a house on the Isle of Man in 1930. In 1931, they suddenly realised there was they heard strange voices coming from behind the wall. And when they asked who it was, it turns out there's this creature that said one of them, the mother, saw claws poking through a crack in the wall. She went and touched she touched the claws and felt pain, and she realised she was bleeding. And a voice said, "Go and wash the wound, go and clean the wound." Voiri, the young girl, was the one who had the most contact with this being. And this was a creature that was very, very eloquent. He said, "I am Jeff, the eighth wonder of the world." But he appeared as a mongoose. Well, mongoose is a fierce little creature, which is very, very mean. It can take on snakes. It's a very, very mean looking thing. Apparently, Jeff used to... it was not just in the house. Jeff used to jump on the bus, presumably invisibly, and take the trip to Douglas, the capital of the Isle of Man, and pick up gossip, things like that. Jeff could speak other languages. He could speak English, of course. He could speak his native Manx, but also he could speak Latin and he could speak Hindi. And he said he was born in India in 1852, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. It would make him a very old mongoose, because it would make him almost 80 years old. I don't know if mongoose, if that's the right word, I don't know if mongoose live to be 80 years old. And Richard found apparently there are other similar phenomena where various things happen. This is not literally a talking mongoose. It may well be. Richard has several theories for what it is. There's been all kinds of theories posited from people like Arthur Conan Doyle, Harry Price. Some said it was real. Some said it was a hallucination, a fraud, a poltergeist, an angel, a demon. Richard believes it is a tulpa. This is, in other words, it's a kind of like a poltergeist. It's something essentially which is generated by people's mental intent. Now, a poltergeist is like that. I believe a poltergeist is a type of entity which is created essentially by a tormented mind, and it's a teenage girl. Of course, anyone who's been a teenage girl will know it's not easy. It's not an easy time of life. This is very interesting. Richard said there's such a thing as a monster template, and he believes it's caused by fossil memories, so things like mean cats, big lizards, things like that, which is like, he believes it may be because these are similar to creatures that we had to deal with in prehistoric times, when we were hunter-gatherers, when there were things like woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and giant monitor lizards and things like this. But there's going to be an expedition next year back to the Isle of Man. And Richard said he wants to do a seance to try and recreate the tulpa of Jeff. Yes. And the team is being reassembled. And guess who's going with them this time? Yeah, I will go this time. Look forward to that. Third speaker was Steve Jones. Steve Jones. Haunted toilets. I'm not kidding. Yeah, that's what he wants. Haunted toilets. Yeah, haunted toilets are... oops. What's happening now? So we get back on here. Haunted toilets. There are a lot of haunted toilets, especially in pubs. And he talked about things such as the Phantom Farter of Newark, which he personally experienced. The Phantom Groper of Wakefield, that was in another pub. And there was even a conservative club that had ghostly creatures in its toilets. Yeah, it was. My guess it was probably Keith Vaz, the groper anyway. But and Steve has some interesting theories about what this could be. Now he says the presence of water, because of course in any building, it's your public toilets are places where you get the most water, and then that actually causes these manifestations. Now that ties in very much with the work of people like Leon Southgate and Nick Hayes and indeed Victor Schauberg, the people who talk about water being a conduit for spiritual energy. Yeah. Steve also says it's got a lot to do with the presence of alcohol and people who are under alcoholic intoxication, which I think is generally why pubs often are haunted. And that the houses of people who are drug addicts and alcoholics. Again, you get a lot of ghosts in those places. I personally think there may be another element, that is sexual. Now, ladies' toilets are more likely to be haunted than gents'. It could be because of nudity. Of course, as you know, toileting is different for the different sexes. For men, it all involves getting slightly naked, removing parts of our clothing or removing parts of our body from our clothing. With women, it's more. You have to take off more, don't you? And so I do wonder if that is a part of it. The final speaker was Dave Hodrian. Now, Dave Hodrian he's involved with ISA, the International Community for Extraterrestrial Research, is it? I know Gary's like the president. Gary Hazeltine's the president. Dave, I think, is the British coordinator. Dave, of course, is. I did a talk for him a couple of weeks ago, as I explained, his event. BUFOG, the Birmingham UFO group, has been running since 2007. They've been meeting at the Hot Shot Snooker Club. They're very established there. It's a great group, very, very active. There's a lot of people were there. It's a really good group, and I do recommend going, actually. It's worth the journey, even if you live a long way away. And he talked about some of the best cases that he did. So there was a sighting by a farmer back in 2007, which started it all off. Flying triangles from 1974, and ovals over all of England. Richard D. Hall investigated that too. Quintuplet formations, that is, UFOs was one in the middle and 4 around it. There are crop circles like that. A black sphere was seen over Birmingham Airport, and there was an aerial interception by a police helicopter. Oddly enough, Birmingham Airport was shut down at that time. The flights were delayed, and they said it was due to bad weather, except the weather was perfect at the time. There's an encounter by the Greek military encounter, because of course he doesn't just do Birmingham. He's investigated sightings that I've reported in Oxford and indeed further afield, like Greece, where there was actually a flying triangle reported over a Greek airbase. I mean, the most interesting case, surely, that he investigated was the case of Jenny. Now, this has become very famous. It's an extraordinary abduction story because it involves the family. She and her husband did something that very, very few abductees do, and then they managed to gain evidence that hardly any abduction sufferers do. Videotaped evidence. They set up night vision cameras in their bedroom. And the husband is actually, it's his job. He's an engineer who installs night vision equipment. And of course, you've probably seen the video of Jenny. That's not her real name. Being taken from her bed. She just disappears, and the bedclothes go down like that. And then 14 minutes later, the bedclothes blow up, like as if someone's pulling them up, and then she appears underneath them, and it settles back to normal. Very, very strange. And again, there's no question of anyone looking for fame and fortune here. I've met Jenny. She's a very shy, very private Muslim lady who's very devout, very orthodox. She wears the full burqa. She'd never shown her face publicly. Never divulged her real name. Never made a single penny out of this. Oh yeah. That's an absolutely remarkable case, that is. And then, of course, there was one return visitation. So Dave dealt with the guy who, when he was a boy in 1971, was abducted by this creature, and the same creature came back to him as an adult in middle age in the 1990s. That was very odd. So yeah, so the four speakers of day 2 were just as good as day 1. I thought, yeah, if not better. I thought they were really very interesting indeed. And now, of course, the conference is over, but I'm in the speakers' hotel, and that's nice because it carries on for a bit because we're all here together, and I know they're all probably having a sleep because that's the thing, where most people involved in this are sort of older. I mean, and some researchers lament, why aren't teenagers getting involved in ufology? Could be several reasons. And I think it's not necessarily bad, but I think maybe you need quite a mature mind to deal with this sort of thing. The fact, though, that we are sort of older adults means that we're not like these kids who go to rock concerts who can just dance from midday to midnight. We very often need to have a small short sleep in the afternoon. I might even have one myself, actually, because we don't have to go out now for an hour, so I might have a lie down myself. And but we are going to go out for a meal before we go home tomorrow morning, and it's nice. I think most of them are staying over, which I really, really like. There's a few people leaving this evening. I know that Andy and Nathan are going. They're staying for summer, but then they're going home. They live quite locally. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. Maybe do a bit more filming. So here we are. It's late at night. It's almost 11 p.m. and I'm walking along Clifton Drive, the main road that runs east-west through Lytham St Anne's, or runs inward from the coast, which is the Promenade Road, and trying to get to Derby Road, or Derby Road, however you pronounce that. I thought I'd give you a chance to see Lytham St Anne's at night when it's all dark. Sunday night, not much about. As I said, here in the North Country, Sunday still means Sunday. In Oxford, there'll be loads of drunk students all over the place. Had a nice Lovely evening actually in a pub. Had a good chat with Malcolm. Malcolm Robinson, you know, I think he's a good guy. We're now walking from, I'm walking from the centre of Lytham St Anne's to, or the St Anne's side to Derb Road. Derb Road sort of almost when it gets into sort of Ansel and Fairhaven, and beyond that is Lytham. So it's sort of in between, it's in one of these in-between places, and it's rather strange conurbation. It's easy to miss it actually if you're walking along. You've got to keep watching the road signs because they're all the same. They're all this lovely orangey pink brick everywhere. In daylight it looks better than it does at night. It's been a lovely evening. I've had to say goodbye to a couple of people because they're not staying at the hotel. The others I will see at breakfast. So I'm going to sleep here on my third night here in Lytham St Anne's. What road is this? This is Fairhaven Road. Right, okay, so it's not this yet. I have to keep watching the road markings until I get to Derb Road, or I might recognise the Claremont Hotel. You know, I hope that people have enjoyed themselves as much as I have. It's been such a good weekend. My third night here. Will it be as good as the last two? Honestly, I've had the mother of all sleeps. Especially last night. Last night, I had 8.5 hours. I woke up about twice, which is unusual for me. I normally wake up four or five times in the night. I'm quite a light sleeper. It's really quite something that I only woke up twice. Yeah, I really slept well indeed. Fantastic. And I'm hoping to do so again. I'll say a few more words when I get in on the laptop, you know. Probably. I may record some more. Which road is this? This is Derb Road. That's my hotel, so here we go. Oh, well, I'm back. I'm back in the hotel room now. It's been a good evening actually. I went, you know, after a little walk home now from the pub, had a lovely chat with everyone. It's been really, really good. And seeing St Anne's late at night is always, Lytham St Anne's has its own characters at all times of the day. The early morning, as you saw this morning, sunset over the beach, and late at night, where it's much quieter than Blackpool at night. And on the Sunday, it's even more so. And it was a lovely walk home, I think. It was what I liked about our talk was, you know, I got to chat to Malcolm Robinson, and I think he's a really good guy. I think he's a really decent bloke, you know. I'm so pleased we made up, and we had a wonderful discussion. And he's obviously happy too that we've made up. He's relieved, and he's relaxed now, and he's happy that we've made up, and that's good. Now, I think it's possible that some of his friends may give him a hard time over the fact that he's made up with me. I ask you not to, please. I don't think that's fair. If you do, then if you do, and I say this to both you and to Malcolm, you're no friends of his, and he's better off without you, quite frankly. So I hope he realises that if you do try to give him aggravation because he's made up with me. Now, John Hanson was there, of course, and as always, we just ignored each other. I stayed out of his way. I didn't speak to him. He didn't speak to me. There's been no trouble at all. This was always my plan, just to avoid him, stay out of his way. I haven't. There's been no trouble. There's been no animosity. I have not said a word about John to anyone else at the conference. I've not slagged John off behind his back to other people who are at the event. I've kept my business with him away from this conference, even though what he said to me was public, and it's quite likely a lot of people have seen what he's written about me. I wasn't going to bring it up at the conference because he was there, he was a guest, he was a speaker, he had to be treated with respect by the crew, and I wasn't going to get in the way with that. I was not going to spoil things by getting in the way of that. Absolutely not. I now have one more night here, and then it's breakfast in the morning, which from what I gather from listening to the reviews of people who stayed here before at Claremont, he's very, very good. I had to book it. I actually had to book it in advance with the staff when I arrived because they plan these things in advance. Very, very organised. They got this interesting little thing as well. Maybe I'll film it in the morning. When you go out, you have to put when you go in, you slide this little thing across the board, and there's a little tick, a green tick saying you're in. And when you go out, you have to push it back, so there's a red X saying you're not in. And I suppose that's for the fire brigade. So I slipped it back so that everyone knows I'm in. So if a fire breaks out in the night, they'll know I'm here, so they'll come and rescue me and not let me. If I hadn't done that, you see that they just leave me here to burn to a crisp. Yeah, very, very clever systems. First time I've stayed in this hotel. So far, I'm impressed. I showed you the room earlier. It's a nice little room here under the roof, with the sloping. It's very cosy, actually, seeing these sloping ceilings. I quite like sleeping under the roof, actually. So, well, with no further ado, let's see if my third night here is as good as my last two. I'll be back here in the morning. Hello, guys. Breaking news just before I go to bed. What have I just found out? I got one of these news apps on my phone. It's just pinged. Boris Johnson has pulled out. Yes. I don't believe it. Yeah, that was a surprise. Boris Johnson, I assumed was going to run for Prime Minister. He's not. He's pulled out. He's made a very long statement talking about how, yes, he could win if he wanted to, but party unity, hashtag next election. It's usual bump. I'm not going to go into details about it now. What this means basically is Rishi Sunak is way ahead. He's got the backing he needs from the MPs. A lot of the MPs that backed Boris said they were going to back Boris now jumping ship, like rats. Nadim Zahawi and lots of others are saying they've done another U-turn and they've said, I'm going to back Boris now after slagging him off all these years. It looks like I'm going to back Rishi Sunak now after backing Boris all these years. Yeah. So it looks like Rishi Sunak is going to be the bloody Prime Minister and he's a horrible individual. But then no different from Liz Truss. He's a globalist. He supported lockdowns, pro-Chi-Coms, And Penny Mordaunt faces a huge task to stay in the race because so far she's only got 24 backers. She needs 100 backers in Parliament to go forward to the next round. Then she's got to get if she does that, then we'll have to see what the grassroots party decide. We'll just see. But why am I even talking about this? It doesn't really matter. Penny Mordaunt Penny Mordaunt. Some people are saying, "Oh no, she backed Brexit. She's pro-Brexit and stuff like this." I think Penny Mordaunt will fall into line if she has to. She's not Kemi Badenoch. She's not the old Boris Johnson. She's not Donald Trump. I'm afraid I don't think it matters that much. I think I prefer Penny Mordaunt slightly to Rishi Sunak, but I wouldn't support her. So that's the depressing state of British politics right now. It's back to the bad old days, I'm afraid, of the monoparty. Who gives a damn? The government always wins. Doesn't matter who you vote for. They're all on the same side, etc., etc. All the cliches that we used to recite are back again. How the hell do we get out of this mess? Anyway, I hope I have nice dreams. Good night. Okay, guys, it's souvenirs. So what have we got here? Well, first of all, I was given this. How do you view the future? Will stay the same, get worse, get better. In here is some Bible quotes. So it's the usual thing with some kind of preacher. Yeah. So that was given to me. This is the programme, I believe. Yes, it's the programme. You've already seen that. This is another souvenir I have here. Malcolm Robinson. That's his details there on his card. So yeah, good on Mal. The Sorchi Poltergeist. That's one of his new books. This is a book. This is the March Zodiac, As Above, So Below, by Catherine Preston. So that's another souvenir. That's my reading book there, UFOs and the National Security State. I'm still on it. I think I was reading that when I went to Probe. That's why I bought it. I've got a few things here from Penny's store. We have here, what's this here? I picked up one of everything. These are designed by Andrew Johnson. Life-changing books, The Humming Effect, Honey is Medicine, Uninformed Consent, The Tartarian Empire. Oh right, it's mostly flat earthers who believe this, but I must say they still do a lot of. You don't have to believe in the flat earth to take it seriously, I think. Mercury and dental fillings, toxic stuff, important alternative energy discoveries. There's more to do with Dr. Judy Wood. It's Andrew Johnson's thing there. Check the evidence. Sea salt, Epsom salts. I'm going to read through these things to do with health. Friendly advice to help improve health and well-being. That's nice. I like the idea of that. And this is a DVD I got from her stall. This is it's available free anyway, but so it's not piracy. But she puts it on the DVDs. There's something. It's worth getting these just in case the usual sources go down. UFO ET Disclosure from Wilbert Smith. Like that. Now this here is Ghost Detectives. It's a series presented by Tom Baker. This is the first one here, and it's actually very good. It's like Most Haunted, but I think it's more. I think it's got real stuff in. I mean, I'm afraid I don't believe that Most Haunted is all real. Produced by Ross Hemsworth. Now he went on to present later series of this particular program. I think you know him because I've featured him on this channel. Good guy, good friend of mine. Really, I think he believes in the subject, and he wants to do ghost hunting programs without any fakery. He presented this thing on BBC Two as well, a Halloween vigil at the Tower of London, I remember. And interestingly, that's like Ghost Watch. I've ever seen the program Ghost Watch, and it's got the same format, but it's all real. It's not fictional. So that's really, really good. Look forward to watching that very, very much indeed. Oh, and I actually got the book, The Lamarche Zodiac. Looks interesting. I mean, I'll tell you more. I can't go into detail, but it's a bit like the Kingston Zodiac sort of thing. It's very, very interesting. And looks interesting indeed. In Search of Real Monsters by Richard Freeman. Adventures in Cryptozoology Volume 2. I'm looking forward to reading that. That's Richard's latest book. He signed it for me. Here. With a little, by Richard Freeman, with a little thylacine. Bless him. I'm sure that is alive. That's my bag for my chargers. That's a plastic bag. That's my train ticket. This is FT. I was reading this on the train on the way up, as I showed you, August. And this is FT July. I think that's the one I'm on now. Yeah, I've nearly finished it. My toothbrush. That is moisturiser. Can't go anywhere without that. I get dry skin. That is my phone charger. That's my laptop charger. It just tangle it from all the others. I don't think I can disentangle it. No, so okay, this is both my phone charger and my lap charger in a death embrace, which they will never separate. You can never separate them from. That's a bag which serves some purpose or other. So that was the souvenirs for Lapis 2022. Yeah, I was in room 9. So now I'm out there. I'm going to go say goodbye to everyone. Goodbye, well, goodbye, so you know which one you are. As long as they don't get that map the wrong way around. It's a nice morning actually. It's a bit damp, but it is quite mild. Just said goodbye to everyone. Now I've got to walk back along Clifton Drive to the station, but I've got a long time to get there. Got about an hour. I might go to the seafront, actually walk along the seafront. Always a bit I hate saying goodbye to everyone. That's a normality in an ordinary world. What's that song? I think who sang that song to Ordinary World? Is it Depeche Mode? Am I that old? I can't remember what it is, but there's a song about in an ordinary world I must learn to survive. Yeah, I think that's what it's like, learning to survive in an ordinary world. It's a world that most people, they survive in it because it's the only world they know. You know, at conferences like this, you get a taste of what the world could be like. Was I going to the guy who organised the Occupy protest. The biggest secret of the world is that it's the way it is because we make it, and we could just as easily make it differently. You know, I don't want to get melancholy. I'm over the stage where I get post-pro blues, but it's just I love being in a place like this. I love being with these people. It's just it's what I'm made for, you know. It's where I feel at home. I don't feel at home at home. Anyway, there'll be more. And the chemtrails are here now. Apparently it's going to be really, really warm, unseasonably warm in the next week or so. I mean, this presents a bit of a dilemma, I think, for our lords and masters, because they keep saying this thing: winter is coming, winter is coming, winter is coming. Oh my God, winter is coming! Well, in the south of England, you don't actually get really, you don't really get a winter. What happens is the rain gets just a bit colder for a few months. But of course, they could make it colder than that. I mean, we do get colder weather sometimes. Because they do that, they're going to have trouble pushing the climate change narrative. So I think they've got a bit of a dilemma on their hands. I think maybe this week may be a clue of what decision they finally made. We'll find out anyway. Here's the seafront. I'm going to have a little. I won't film along here. I'll just peacefully have a stroll. Okay, I'm at the pier, the famous St Anne's Victorian pier, as you see here, and I've just found another piece of proof positive. Signs of the Tartarian Empire, right here in St Anne's. Well, I'm back in Oxford, four days after I left, and you know what, despite what I said earlier, I don't think the notional time of which I complained of moving too fast earlier on, I don't think it actually has as much as maybe previous conferences did. This could be a sign of a reverse quickening following the 2012 phenomenon, or it could be simply that I become a stronger, more stable, more content person. Hopefully both, but either way, it's you know, I remember walking up here. Of course, I filmed at the beginning 4 days ago, and I'm filming here 4 days later. It doesn't actually, it's not like, oh God, it's flown by, you know, despite what I said. It's not quite as much as it has other conferences. So I'm back now, back to normality, and no, despite my complaints earlier today, literally within hours I will adjust. You know, it's a transient thing, this post-conference blues. But oh God, I've had such a good time. It's really, really great. Every bit as good as 2019. I do hope there'll be one next year. And you know, there'll be other events as well. I look forward to speaking to my friends from the LAPIS community on Skype or Messenger, where we have our weekly Friday evening get-togethers. Really, really good. I don't know about you, but I think my voice has improved actually somewhat during this weekend. Probably because I'm doing a lot of talking. Even though I've still got a bit of a cough, I can still feel sort of like the stickiness in my larynx. It has improved somewhat, which may be a sign that it's not going to linger for months and months and months. Oh yeah, it's raining. Oh dear. That's Britain for you, and it starts raining. Oh. Well, there'll be more coming very soon. I'm going to the Basis Project event, which I'll probably do a reportage of next week. I'd like to do, of course, I hope you guys are watching Moments of Contact, so we can do a review and then a live stream of that. Plenty of other videos I've got planned. They'll be coming up as soon as possible. So, thank you all for watching. Panmo TV, Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.